Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Heights Neighborhood Board Number 5 meeting of November 9th, 2023. Calling the meeting to order. Mr. Neighborhood Assistant, would you call the roll for us?
Yes. Allen,
Here.
she's here.
Here.
Boydell. Decker,
Here.
thank you. Hasina,
Yes. Yeah.
Knight,
Here.
sorry, Matson. Murakawa. Murakawa says he's here. Murchie,
Here.
thank you. Velasco,
Here.
Welch,
Here.
Weitzel, Bruce Wong, Linda Wong. Linda, are you there? All right. And one more time for Boydell.
Hello.
All right. We do have quorum, Chair. We can begin.
Okay, then I would like to move straight away to our first order of business that we have here, which is a filling of the neighborhood board vacancies. Is there anyone who is interested for Diamond Head Subdistrict 3? I think we believe we have 2 vacancies. If there's anyone online or anyone in person?
No volunteers in person.
Winston, could I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
When it comes to community concerns, could I
Yep.
just share screen for the short period of time? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, and if you can't, then send it to me, Dylan. Okay, well, seeing that there's none, then let's move on to public safety monthly report, starting with our Honolulu Fire Department, Waikiki Station. Someone from the fire department here?
None in person. They did show up in person last time, just a few moments late. I'll let you know if they arrive.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the Honolulu Police Department, District 6, Waikiki, Kapiolani Park, Diamond Head.
Hi, Lieutenant Ono from District 6, Waikiki. Just go over some stats from October. Robberies, we had 7, previous month was 2. Burglaries, 16, the previous month was 11. Thefts, 149, previous month was 168. UEMVs, 24, the previous month was 14. Assaults, 32, previous month was 31. Sex crimes, 3, previous month 2. Bike skateboard on sidewalks was 55, previous month was 21. Speeding, we had 18 citations, previous month was 239. Parkings, 1,720 citations, previous month was 1,908. Loud mufflers, 3, previous month was 1. And park closures, 18 citations, 2 arrests. Previous month was 82 citations, 8 arrests. Total calls for service was 4,544, and previous month was 4,707. And that's all I have.
Thank you, officer. Are there questions for District 6? Any in person? Are there any questions online for the officer from District 6? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, sir, for coming tonight. And we will move on to District 7 now. Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights, Eats, Honolulu, District 7. Is there an officer from District 7? Unusual tonight. There must be something busy tonight. If they come later, maybe Dylan, and in person, if you let me know, along with the fire department.
Will do.
Okay, next, let's move on to the Board of Water Supply, KCC, and public events notices or announcements. These are limited to 3 minutes each. And in general for tonight, if we can be as succinct as possible and, it's tendency to repeat ourselves. I'm guilty of it. So, as we can try and say something and get it out there, then we'll be done and keep our meetings as proper length that they should be without running over. Board of Water Supply. I see Kathleen. Aloha.
Aloha, Chair. Thank you so much. Hope everyone's doing well. Pleased to report there were no water main breaks in your community this past month. And we just want to announce that we've launched our 2024 poster and poetry contest. It's open, poster contest is open for kids from kindergarten to 6, poetry 7 to 12. This year's theme is Our Water, Our Home, and the deadline to enter is February 28th, 2024. For more information, you can go to our website. And I just wanted to let everyone know that we're still waiting on the CDUA permit from the Office of Coast and Coastal Coastlines before we can begin construction on it. And I'm going to work with our CP, our capital projects team, to find out why it's taking so long, see if we can't shake that loose. So that's all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Are there questions for Board of Water Supply?
Person.
Carol, that's your bird. Hi, Kathleen. I was wondering, I was looking at the updated PUC DP for the area, and they still mention about some sort of water purification station or pumping station or something located on the golf course. I think it's old information, but are you aware of anything about that?
No,
what that is?
nothing. It must be old information. If you want to send me something, I can find out for you and get more details. I'd be happy to do
Oh,
that.
Okay, yeah, it was about the plan for the urban core, and it's been updated, but there seemed to be some outdated information in there. And I remember asking this a couple years ago, and I think you all didn't know about that. So it might have been something they put in as an idea, which often make the plans. Okay, if there's no questions for Kathleen, we appreciate you coming tonight.
I
as
have a
always.
question.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay.
This is Arlene
Hi, Arlene.
Velasco. Hi. I just was hoping you could give us a really quick update on the Red Hill defueling.
I think as of today, they're over almost 80 million gallons defueled. So that means they have about another, just 40 or 60 to go, which is great. So far, so good. We will keep our fingers crossed that there's no issues after that. They need to start planning to remove the sludge at the bottom of the tanks and in the pipes. This is the stuff they cannot get out through gravity feed. And they have committed, I don't know if you all saw the Senate hearing that they had on November 2nd. You can find it on YouTube. If you go to Hawaii State Legislature on November 2nd, you should be able to Google it and find it. It's very interesting. It's a fairly quick watch, a couple hours, but you can kind of scan through it a little bit. But the Navy says they're committed to remediation for the long term. That's good to hear. And that something we'll have to keep after them about. So that's pretty much, it's just kind of a wait and hope that everything keeps going well. Thank you. Thank you, Board Member Velasco.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, thank you so much. Arlene, did you have any question after that for follow-up?
No, that was it. I was just wondering how that was going.
Yeah, we're glad to see some progress on that. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Aloha. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Next, we have, I saw Dean Hoshiko was here, and I don't know if you had any update or not for us, Dean.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair Welch, members of the board, and honored guests. This is Carol Hoshko from Kapiolani Community College, and my buddy Gandalf is sitting on my shoulder here. He likes to see who's on the, on the WebEx. All right, Dylan, do you have the slides?
Yes, would you like me to share for you?
Yes, please.
All right. For those of you that don't know, this is our board's Google Drive. And the link is on the agenda, and we have several documents in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And is that open for everyone, Dylan, the public and, or just the board?
Yes. The public can view and download, board members, we do case by case, but they can upload, edit. Yeah.
And that's where all of the folks that come tonight, all of our representatives can upload everything for us and people can find it in advance just in case they don't know.
At the moment, we don't have, we haven't given other people access, like elected officials or their staff. They're not signed up as editors, but as long as they send it to you or I, we can get it up there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, this is a very brief update about the construction phase 2 at the Culinary Institute. Go ahead and change. All right, in this photograph, we're actually looking toward Diamond Head. And just to let you know that the loading dock slab for the restaurant and auditorium have been poured, and a lot of progress is being made on the site curbs and the sidewalks. Next slide. Go ahead and change.
Sorry, it's not reacting. There we
Oh.
go.
Okay, this is looking toward Kaimuki with a view of the auditorium entrance on the left and the back of the restaurant on the right. The stormwater detention chamber is currently being put in. The rock wall at the terrace gardens are also being put in. Next slide. All right, in this photograph, you're looking east at the restaurant entryway and the lookout area. The restaurant auditorium aluminum doors and windows are being put in place. The restaurant auditorium exterior sheathing is also being put in place. And the next slide, this is really exciting. This is the Innovation Center. The metal roof panels have been almost totally completed. And the Innovation Center is located actually next to the lab that was built during construction phase 1. And the last slide is a summary of what I just reported, progress on all of those different facilities. Okay, that's it. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Dean. Margaret?
Hi. Is it still the original contractor? Who is the contractor that's doing all the work, Carol?
Oh, I just had a brain freeze. Sorry, Margaret. But
Welcome to the
I'll have
club.
yeah, it's called AGE. Anyway, I'll have to let you know, but yes, it's the original design build group. And I'll send that to you. I'm sorry, I just can't think of it.
And are they staying on target budget wise?
Yes, they are. The deadline, we thought we originally were going to get the keys the end of this annual year, but now it sounds like it's going to be more in the spring. Okay.
Maybe we could have, just a little bit of information on that. That'd be great.
Okay, I'll get that to you, to the board.
Thank you. And Linda?
Thank you.
You're on mute now, Linda. Okay.
Carol, when do you think, what's the targeted date for opening?
Okay, the target date, hopefully for, everything opening up is going to be in the fall, probably mid-fall of 2024.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you. Mahalo.
welcome.
I had a question about it. Do we know the process of, did we get an executive director yet?
Okay, we There is a recommendation going before the Board of Regents. I think it's next week. And so once that's approved, then the announcement of who the executive director will be formally made.
Wasn't there going to be a time when there were going to be 3 candidates that had a chance to meet in public or something like that?
Well, the public forums actually happened, and it just so happened that I was in Seward, Alaska at that time, when the public forums happened.
Okay, okay. Do you remember who the candidates were?
I can tell you who's being recommended.
Okay. Oh, is that public now?
Well, there was it's public because I think it's out on the Board of Regents agenda, but it's Roy Yamaguchi.
Oh,
And then the second, there was another candidate that was interviewed. Actually, I think I only saw the 2. The other one was a Klaus. I can't remember his last name, but he was a academician. He's done a lot of written a lot of books and so forth, and worked a lot in culinary as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
I would, you can see the announcement about the Board of Regents meeting when that's going to be held. And so you can get official word in about a week.
Okay, and that's on UH website or KCC's
Yeah,
website?
it'd be on the UH Board of Regents.
Okay, very good. Well,
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming, and thanks for bringing Gandalf.
Gandalf, you're quite welcome. Thank you for letting him attend. He loves to look at people.
Of course. Okay, thank you. And next we have any public events announcements like parades or fun runs or those sorts of things. Is there anyone in person or online who wants to let us know about something like that? Okay, if not, then we will go to community concerns and public testimony. And
Chair,
Yes,
Chair, one
sir.
second.
Yep.
I think now is a good time. We do have Kuhio Lewis. All right, introduce
Okay.
yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kuhio Lewis, the CEO for the Council for Native Advancement, NHA for short. I came this evening to make the community aware of an upcoming venture that we are working on. It's called the Kilohana Experience. We've entered into partnership with the City and County of Honolulu to partially help manage the Waikiki Shell by putting on more authentic experiences there. By way of background, CNHA is one of the larger serving Native Hawaiian organizations. It's grounded culturally. We do a lot of workforce development, business development, professional development, community development. And of course, many might know us more recently because we are now one of the managers to help manage tourism in the state of Hawaii. So as part of that kuleana, or responsibility that we've taken on, it's to have more authentic experiences that better represent Hawaii, our place, our people, our culture. So this partnership with the City and County of Honolulu will involve primarily bringing back the free Kodak Hula show that we used to have before. That's part of it. In addition to that, it would involve creating an authentic marketplace that sells Hawaii-based products to support our local businesses in Hawaii. There is an evening show that would be an authentic luau. One of the challenges that we see with Hawaii's industry is that a lot of our culture has shifted to what is authentic. So what you see at the luau's nowadays are really not a good representation of Hawaii, our culture. It's turned into a commercialized Polynesian show. So having an authentic luau in a managed destination like Waikiki, where we can start to tell the correct mo'olelo, just makes sense. So I'm here to raise awareness. I'm here to answer questions. Obviously, the majority of those whom we be catering to is visitors. We are working with our partners to ensure that shuttling service using existing shuttles will be a primary part of how we get people to the shell. But I just wanted to stay high level. If there's any questions that I can answer, I wanted to do so.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Lewis. I think that you probably deserve more time to discuss this and to make a full presentation to the board. And I know you wrote to me about that. And it was just after our cutoff for this meeting. I would like to, if people have some basic questions, maybe you could ask them, knowing that we should really go into this more deeply, but just maybe it might be top level concerns or comments or whatever you have that's short. And I see Dylan, is that your hand raised?
Yes, but it was also for Vice Chair Velasco. But as Chair Welch just said, yes, because this isn't on the agenda, Sunshine Law, the spirit is to give public notice. So before we get into a long deliberation, let's keep it brief, clarification questions with the idea that you guys will be at the next
Yes.
meeting.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Vice Chair.
Yes, this is Arlene Velasco again. I have just three really quick questions. They don't have to be answered tonight. I want to know who gets the revenue from the events. I want to know how much is each event. And when you say it's the luau is free, is it truly free or is it free like?
Sure. I can answer high level questions.
Okay, and-
Go ahead. One more question.
And then has the city signed the contract with you already?
Yes, the contract's been executed. Uh,
And I guess one other thing, I just want to mention that I live directly across on Leaje Avenue from the Shell, and parking is always a really bad situation when the Shell has events. Residents can't park.
Okay, so let me try to stay high level with this. In terms of the revenue generated, the hula show in the morning, so there's a morning show, which is the free hula show, is free. The evening event is a paid activity. The paid activity in the evening pays for the morning free show. So that's how, one of the reasons the Kodak Hula Show shut down was because it wasn't self-sustaining. It didn't generate any revenue. So we've created a model where it can be self-sustaining. With regard to parking, I look forward to working with you and others that are involved in the community to see how we can minimize any impact. As I shared, we are looking at how we can utilize existing shuttle service, bus service to support this venture. And you had another question, which was, we don't have a price fixed yet, but the morning show we know for sure is free.
Okay, and Margaret, did you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry, are you done, Arlene?
Well, I just said that I just wanted to remind Cahill that the locals are primary users of the Shell. And I'm hoping that you'll get an upgrade on the food and the drink contracts, because nachos and hot dogs don't cut it. You know, we used to be able to bring our own picnics and have a great time there. I understand we can't do that anymore. But, you know, the food vendors are really important. It'd be nice if you had local food vendors with a
Thank you.
variety of healthy food.
Yep, thank you. Just quick response. The concept here is to make the entire model of this regenerative. So who works there, what people eat, what people experience is authentic to Hawaii. This show will be grounded in culture. It'll be grounded in that model of how does the tourism visitor industry regenerate Hawaii? And that's the model that we're trying to display through this venture.
Okay, thank you. And Linda?
I wanted to welcome you and tell you how happy I am to see local culture to come back. And I think Hawaii was the best when the local entertainers all had their own showrooms, and it wasn't, Waikiki wasn't so commercial. So thank you for coming and getting this done and putting some real local, authentic things into our lives again. You know, the parking, there's a lot of free parking that's not taken up at Waikiki parking lots 1, 2, and 3. I mean the Shell parking lots. So they always order more parking than they need. So only in the real big events do they use all the parking at 1, 2, and 3. So hopefully that won't be a problem with something of this size.
Mahalo.
Thank you. And Mr. Boydell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask for next time about how often this event will be occurring. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll have a chance to jump into more detail at the next meeting. Sorry, I wasn't able to get onto this month's agenda. But the short answer to it's not a 7-day-a-week thing. It's from Sunday to Thursday, which is days that the shell is minimally used by the community, by the public. So we're basically taking all the inventory that nobody uses and turning it into something that can be useful and enriching for our visitor experience.
And Mr. Lewis, I had sorry, go ahead. Who's local there, Dylan, that you wanted to, has a question?
Member Knight.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I don't know if this is a high level question, and I'm really hoping it is. So if it's slated to open, or this experience is slated to open in mid-January, for all these different positions that will be open, which is really exciting that there's gonna be a lot more jobs and opportunities. Have they already started hiring, or is that more after Christmas situation? Because I know it's a lot of preparation to get everything working, and also with that there's parking, but that sounds like a December question. Is parking for employment, but just for hiring for these positions?
It is a high level question because I'll just share we're behind schedule. So we're likely going to push it back a little. But we did run auditions. We've already hired some of the cast that are going to be part of the hula show in the morning as well as the luau. And I wanted to share too that who's going to be performing is the winners of the Merry Monarch Hula Festival in Hilo. So we're actually taking them and they're going to be front and center performing to authenticate this experience. So you get top-notch, authentic, real stuff. So some of it has happened. It's not entirely done yet. We're still hiring.
Okay, then are there any other questions there in person, Dylan?
No.
Okay, then we will look forward to you coming back. Laura, did you have a question for Mr. Kuhio? Next, okay. Yeah, Mr. Kuhio, thank you so much for coming tonight and for making that. I know that, we have asked DES repeatedly to come on a regular basis, just like DPP or any of the city departments that that we deal with on a regular basis, but especially DES, they have 3 major venues in our district, which is the Shell, the zoo, and the golf course. And I know they've had a change of leadership there, but that doesn't matter. And it's not exactly on you all. It was on DES that they needed to come and say, this is a concept we were thinking, good, bad, or otherwise. It's incumbent upon them. And I hope that as you are able to deal with the city and or the state, that you let them know that the communities really they care about what's going to happen in there. And this sounds like, a great addition to the Shell, but it could have been a terrible addition to the Shell, or we don't know. We'll find out next month. We'll assume that it's good, but if you have any influence on the organs of our city, we would ask that you impress upon them the need to let folks know to consult with us, not to just inform us of what's happening, because it may be like with the covering that we had on the Shell that was planned there, that did, I guess, has been revised, but we still haven't had information about that either. So in any event, it's not exactly about you, but we do appreciate your outreach, and we look forward to having a full presentation next month, and any slides you need, you can get to me or Dylan. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, we'll do our part. So I just wanted to be proactive on our own, so that's why we're here, but I will convey your message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will look forward to Mr. Lewis next month and appreciate him coming out tonight. We will move on to any other community concerns. And I think, Laura, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to share the screen because very short time. Whoops, let me see. I think this is it. Yes, I'm going to read this, but I just wanted, the takeaway is that this is a companion targeted resolution that you folks have already passed, the larger one with the design and everything. This is about full EIS and then to suspend or abandon the contract for the design build contractor. So I'm going to read it very quickly, and I should be within my 2 minutes, I hope. So a resolution to request a full EIS for the Alawai Canal, University Avenue and Kalaimoku Street site. Whereas the proposed bridge over the Alawai Canal plan design shows no regard for the residential communities on both sides of the canal. Whereas the proposed plan design cuts off and obscures many significant view planes, view sheds of Diamond Head, the Ko'olau Mountains, and the open canal waterway and green park spaces, even after 82% of those attending the community empowerment meeting at Alawai School on September 9th wanted to preserve the view planes or view sheds. Whereas the proposed design shows no inclination to preserve or protect historic Alawai Canal and the historic Malia Canoe, crowding and obscuring these sites. Whereas the proposed plan shows no regard for the endangered native Kolea and Manu Oku from the obtrusive structural impacts of an overbuilt bridge span, tower, stay cables, and concrete bulwarks. Whereas the proposed bridge will seriously impact park users' full enjoyment of the park, the community gardeners, the paddlers, the Makuli Senior Softball League, the Pacific Islanders community groups, and especially the students and parents of Alawai School who drop off and pick up children in the parking lot area to walk across to play in the playground area. Whereas the bridge proposal is neither urgent nor necessary. Be it resolved that almost 600 community member petitioners do not want a bridge over the Alawai Canal, and that the Neighborhood Board 8, or in your case 5, sends this resolution to the appropriate city and county officials and requests the city and county response in writing, and further requests a full EIS for the site. Be it resolved, the previous Neighborhood Board 5 resolution suggests that the city and county would seriously respect the community's wishes, but that the resolution was ignored. Thus, the 2023 resolution urges that the city and county to suspend or abandon the bridge and its design. Thank you very much. I would hope that this will be, I'll send it to the chair, and I hope it will be placed on your January meeting agenda so that you folks can all have had a chance to read it or modify it as you wish, and to weigh in. And I hope would you be able to pass it at that particular time after your enough discussion. So I thank you very much. And if there's, I don't know if there's time for questions, but I'd answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you for that, Laura. Can you tell me, was this passed by any other neighborhood board or discussed by any other neighborhood board in like Moealiili?
We're getting ready to do it, but both that and your the number 8 and number 5 are not up until January. And I'm going to also bring it up next week with the Waikiki board and see if they will put it on. There's a little bit of a problem there with people restricting free community discussion, but we'll see what happens at that particular time. So we already have the support of your board and the Makali Mo'iliili board for that first resolution, which was broader about against the design of the bridge. But this is really saying we don't want the bridge. The full EIS will very much clarify that it's about the environmental, historical, cultural, social aspects of the human use of the space. And that's actually what's needed. And so to tell them to stop with any plans for construction until that's complete is basically what this is.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell me and all of us, is the bridge design currently, as far as you're aware, still the giant structure, or has that been modified, or is it under consideration for it to be changed?
They won't tell us. They won't tell us anything. They won't give us any, all I get is acknowledgements saying, thank you, received your email, that kind of thing. So
Okay.
we do not know the status at all.
Okay, yeah, another example where the city could be really engaging the communities rather than putting a fait accompli surprise and then have to do a lot of grief after that. Thank you.
That's been the case all along. That's been the case at every single step along the way. I went to all the meetings.
Yep.
Never regarded anything from the community.
Well, let's hope we have some movement on that. Thank you for sharing that tonight, Laura, and we can perhaps take that up as a board next month. Linda, do you have your hand up, or is that left up over from before?
Yeah, no, I have a community concern.
Go ahead.
Thank you. DPP just came out with, I went to some of their planning meetings and the overall feeling was to go build out, not up. And they've done a very extensive review of the PUC, which used to be the primary urban center. And now they're calling it the primary urban center now instead of the core. So and it's not complete. We see that there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know if it's like Kilauea Avenue. All our streets are in there, Montserrat, Pocky, all of them. And I don't know if they're planning to put complete streets everywhere. I have no idea. So I would like to get DPP out here, or if you have to get design and construction, but get somebody out here that can give us a presentation on all these changes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's also, we had asked DPP to come back and give a presentation multiple times about this. And I think this is probably one of the most egregious things, because that the area, if anybody, I'll put this in the chat, there is a meeting at next week on the 15th from 1 until 3. And I'll put this in the chat that talks about this primary urban core and the changes. And they have added some things to it, I noticed. And a lot of other things, like I asked Carol about this, the Board of Water Supply feature, and she does, I'm sorry, not Carol, Kathleen Pahunui, she didn't know about that. And other things that we really need to understand as a community, but what has not changed is the densification of the neighborhood. And that folks just simply don't know that that's going on. And if you're talking about having a 6-story building where it's a 1-story building now, I think that that's in the interest of the public to know that, whether we want it or don't want it. It doesn't matter either way. We just can't, have these diktats and fait accompli in our neighborhoods as they get changed. So I would encourage that. And we can ask the planning, the DPP to come and give an update on that, but it will be after the date of this public meeting. I don't know if that'll make a difference, but anyway, we can do that. And I'll encourage everybody to go to that meeting beforehand, especially board members. Thank you for bringing that up. And Ms. Metzen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The meeting next week is a critical meeting. It is the Planning Commission meeting, which takes up the current revision formally, accepts testimony, and then the result of that hearing and their decisions and modifications go straight to the City Council to be adopted. Therefore, this notice came it came after the agenda was already sent in for publication. Our board has had no chance to have the changes presented. And so I believe that the chair needs to represent the board at this Planning Commission meeting and provide the resolution that we passed, because that was a formal vote. And hopefully we'll be able to have more discussion before the City Council takes this up. And once we see what the Planning Commission comes up with, but the Planning Commission is an important step. And if they understand the community's concerns, they may make some modifications to satisfy those concerns. But again, it's always questionable. Thank you.
Thank you. I share your concerns. This would have not been hard for DPP to come to every single board that is going to face these changes. In fact, it's incumbent upon them in a free society where we need this information. It is the exact express purpose of our neighborhood boards to have this information from the organs of the city and the state and others to come before us. And I do not know why they can't send someone. If they can produce the beautiful document that they did, they need to come and engage the public robustly. I don't know how else to say it. I will be there next week. Please come, whether you agree with it, don't agree with it. This is your chance to be heard. And perhaps what we can do is say until, and there's no rush to get this through, but if they get it wrong, they're going to get it wrong, really wrong. And we have an obligation to our communities to show up at those meetings and have our voices be heard. And perhaps the best thing is to say, okay, you need to go back to the communities and engage them. And we're not passing anything until that time. I don't remain hopeful that that would be the case, but I don't know. Hopefully there will be like-minded people on the commission that ask how robustly have you engaged the community. And in the case of Diamond Head Neighborhood Board 5, I would say not. Anyway, thank you. Kara, I see your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. Earlier, Laura mentioned the importance of engaging the community on decision-making process and wanted to share concern in my neighborhood. As a continuation from last month's testimony regarding the intersection of Kanaina and Kapahulu Avenue near Rainbow Drive-In, sharing a brief overview of the ongoing safety concerns. About 17 years ago, there were 2 lanes at the corner, one lane to turn left and a designated right turn lane, which was replaced by the island of shrubs. As a result, there is only one lane to turn left or right onto a busy Kapahulu Avenue, causing a backup, especially in the morning and lunchtime. Traffic gets even more congested when customers driving in and out of a very busy Rainbow Drive-In. Compounding the situation are the densely overgrown shrubs, which blocks the visibility for motorists and pedestrians to safely cross. And due to the widespread understaffed city crew that was reported, they need to be contacted in order for them to finally come out and trim the shrubs, which sometimes are as tall as a stop sign. In the past couple of months, homeless people have been living inside and outside of the shrubs, and the smell of feces and urine permeated the area. Therefore, removing the shrubs and replacing the designated right turn lane back will help to reduce these concerns and definitely help with the line of sight for everyone. And I would like to share some pictures to help provide some insight. So am I able to share, or
If you
Dylan,
can.
are you able to share the pictures that I sent through email?
Dylan, do you have those easily available?
I do not. I did get the email, but there was no attachment for me, so it might have been dropped in forwarding to myself. But if you send it to us, we can put it on the Google Drive for awareness. But real quick, I know that council members say, or it was Council Chair Waters brought it up in the previous meetings. They will not remove the shrubs until this board, I think, adopts a motion. Which side do they want to take? Do they want to continue to maintain the shrubs, or do they want to go this route and remove it entirely and reinstate the right turn lane? So it has been brought up, but the board needs to make a decision on that in a future meeting. Thank you.
Okay, and I will suggest, I mean, this intersection is quite dangerous. I agree with Kara bringing this up, and I know Tim, who'd come by as well and talked about this and the whole area and traffic issues. And I agree, I walk in front of this all the time. It is dangerous. It probably needs a complete rework by DTS, which will not be quick or easy, even if they worked fast on this. It takes time for this, but there are no crosswalks between the Chevron, Texaco Shell, whatever it is these days, and Campbell Avenue. And people are always running across the street, whether it's in front of Rainbow Drive-In or the Episcopalian Church or wherever it is. They don't want to go, a half a mile or whatever it is, the distance to cross the street. And then crossing left there, you're right. Turning left at the Chinese restaurant, terribly dangerous. I don't know if it's what the solution is. Maybe it's right turns only at that intersection. Maybe Castle gets blocked entirely. There's a lot of different options that might come out of that, but I think what I would like to do is recommend that our Chair Margaret Murchie of the Traffic and Safety Committee hold a special meeting sometime this month so we can come up with some ideas. And Kara, if you would, work with Margaret as well as others that are interested in that, because it is an issue that we should address sooner than later. And I'm sorry we don't have those photos there, Kara. I don't see them either. Oh, I see. You got it.
Okay, so I have this one. I guess this is a important or main one. So what's happening here is this car is trying to turn left and this car is trying to turn right. But as you can see, the right turn lane has been eliminated by the shrub. And this gentleman is trying to cross the road but can't cross using the crosswalk because the car has to kind of drive out in order to get a clear line of view. So to add to this, we have cars from Kapahulu Avenue trying to turn right to either come to Kanaina Avenue or to drive into Rainbow Drive-In. So oftentimes lunchtime, this area gets really backed up in the morning and lunchtime. And so it's just a poorly planned situation, which is causing great safety concerns, basically.
Yeah, it may be that we need a traffic light there, honestly, with it. I don't know if I don't think there has been one there, but
Take that bulb out.
do what?
Take the bulb out. This board completely fought that for years. And the DPP wanted to put in that bulb out that has those shrubs growing on it. And we denied it, and fought with them. And then all of a sudden, one day they came out and made it.
Well, it's also turning left there is very dangerous. And right where under that sign
It's supposed to be
is
key
where
lane there.
basically that's where Castle comes out. And people turn left there. I think it's only supposed to be a right turn lane, but it's impossible and too close and people are driving too fast. The whole area needs a really strong looking at and how we can make it safer.
You need to take the bulb out.
Well, let's recommend that this goes to committee then. And thank you for showing that photo and finding that, Kara. I don't know if Margaret, if you're still on here or not, but perhaps you can we can have a committee meeting in the next week or two, or at least before our next meeting.
I'm out of town till the next, for the whole month. So you guys need to go for it. If there's a time frame on it.
Okay, well then maybe Dylan, can we deputize me
Yeah.
or somebody else to take her place?
I was just
Yeah,
trying to send that to you.
someone other than yourself.
Okay, well, we will find someone and then have a meeting on this. And
Thank
figure
you.
out what I said.
Sounds good.
Thank
Vice Chair,
you.
did you have a comment?
Yes, I have a concern that we have a lot of people in the audience today, and I want to make sure that that all their concerns get heard.
Yeah, if there's anyone there, let's go to them right now. Thank you.
Sorry, before we move, can I just say one thing to Kara? Because I know she's come to a few of our meetings, so thank you for keep coming to bring this to our attention. But also, I did want to let you know regarding the homelessness in that area. I did let our outreach team over at IHS know about it, and they are aware of that area. And after every meeting, when you do come, I do bring it up again and again, so they are aware. And I do know that they work closely with HPD whenever they get reports as well. So it might feel like nothing's happening, and I respect that because there's a lot of traffic that's happening and that's very chaotic, and I'm so sorry. But your message is being pushed along as well. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's help.
Thank you. And somebody else there in person, Dylan?
Yes, sir. You can come to the microphone. You can introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ed Kuba, and I wanted to issue a couple of quick thank yous to the board. Number one, a couple of meetings ago, I came here to follow up with the Rainbow Drive-In discussion, the homeless camp, and a couple of death threats against the current proprietor of Rainbow Drive-In. So thank you. The board moved quickly on it. HPD was involved. The hedge maintenance people came in and cut down the hedge considerably, cleaned up the area. Thank you very much. Secondly, I emailed the proprietor, has there been anything that happened? No further death threats, but he sent me an email, and if I can quickly read it to you folks. We've had a couple of instances. One was a homeless individual was following a girl late at night. When I was done with work, I had to give her a ride because she didn't feel safe walking home. The other was an individual broke into our main meter breaker, and turn off all the power to our office property along with the water line. Our neighbors have reported homeless who are jumping the back fence to use their outdoor washing machines. So thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Are there other folks in person who wish to express a community concern?
Arlene Velasco, I would just want to mention that there's been a situation with the management of the LOI Marina, and the DLNR has put in their agenda. They put in an agenda for a meeting that was supposed to be held this week on eliminating the free parking at the LOI Harbor. So there's a group of people that we're all very concerned about this. I know the Surf Rider group is, the Save the Surf is another group. And I just want everybody, if you have any questions, come see me and I can keep you informed as to what is happening so that we don't have our free parking eliminated at the harbor.
And that is a perennial sort of thing that the Harbors Department has tried to do before. And are they looking, Arlene, do you know, at eliminating all the all the free parking there?
Yes, it's J7 was their agenda, and they have it in a very hard place to locate it is in the notes of one of their tables, and in it, it says elimination of all the free parking.
Yes, and that is the last free shorefront parking, isn't it, inside of the urban core, or among the very last?
Yeah, and it's a very famous surf spot, and it's a very famous spot for tourists to go to and locals especially.
Okay. Will you put that information in? Are you able to put it in the chat?
Not right now.
Okay, maybe we can put it on the OneDrive, it's not a OneDrive, what our Google Drive later, with
Yes.
information about that for people to find out.
We can do that with links.
Okay, thank you, Arlene. And Ms. Mattson?
Thank you. I've been following this for quite a while, having an interest in the recreational harbor. And what has been happening is construction workers, hotel workers, and other commercial people are taking up the public parking, the free public parking. And this is why the state, one of the reasons the state believes it could generate a lot of revenue by having everyone pay for it. However, what they should be doing is restricting the parking to recreational harbor users only. And there should be enforcement of that. Again, enforcement is lacking. So they have now had new funding for doe care enforcement officers. Let's see what we can do about getting better enforcement, and testifying at this hearing. Arlene, has it been rescheduled, or will it be?
Yes, they rescheduled a meeting for some early December, but they have not put out an agenda yet. So we have to all be looking for that.
Okay, if you'll please let us know, email us. I'm sure some of us will definitely chime in on that. Thank you.
All right, I will.
Thank you. Are there any other folks in person or online who have a
Yes,
community
there's
concern?
people in person.
Okay. If you can come up, whoever's next.
Hello, my name is Wayne Swan. I'm the president of the Diamond Head Ambassador Board of Directors. And one of the concerns that's been brought up in our monthly meetings is these, I guess, mobs of mopeds that come down through Kalakaua. And I just wondered if the police have had any assistance in working with them, or what the process is on these groups getting together, and concerns for safety and traffic control in that area, as well as noise. Thank you.
Okay, that's maybe a question we can ask HPD next time. I don't know if they are still here online. But if you would be able to come back next month as well and ask them that, and have that be on their agenda and their radar as well. But I don't think it's been specifically addressed, at least in any recent meeting.
Winston, Chair Waters wants to say something about this.
Thank you. Good evening, members and chair. I did get a complaint of brothers from your office as well, that we've been sending HPD out there. They've been citing folks. But that works for a little while because they keep coming back. We've actually contacted the University of Hawaii and Chaminade because it appears like it's a lot of university students, to ask them to put out a call to their students to not park there. But one of the things I wanted to discuss with you folks and the community is whether or not we want to create a parking lot for the mopeds within the park and out of the way. Currently, they're parking right next to the shower and right next to the beach access. And when they were sighted there, they moved out and parked on the sidewalk. And then they're sighted there, so they're going back into the beach park. But if we create a space for them, that might solve the problem. But I don't want to create it without input from you folks. And I'm happy to work with you offline on that as well.
And I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
For the gentleman that,
Oh, okay.
I forgot his name.
Wayne Swan.
Wayne Swan. Is your concern about the mopeds, or is it all the motorized bikes that go through at night and go zipping through
Well,
Kalakaua?
The big one for those electric bikes started doing it. It was the mopeds and motorcycle groups that come through. And not so much the motorcycles, they are loud, but it's quick and they're gone. The mopeds seem to go on for quite a long time. I don't know. Like I said, they probably put together, everybody moves through there. And I just didn't know. I've talked to the police about it. They say it's a challenge with their group, is that I guess it's tough for them to enforce a lot of those rules. So the moped riders will take off on them, and if they chase them down and there's an accident, then the police are on the hot seat. So it's a challenge. So I'm just wondering if there's anything to be done about it, or it's just something we have to live with. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Matson?
Thank you. I'm a little confused here. I know Wayne Swan was referring to Kalaka Avenue, especially through Kapiolani Park, where the ambassador is located, and other residential buildings. But Council Chair Waters appeared to be talking about putting more parking surface in the park. Which park is this? Is this Makalei Beach Park, or is it Kapiolani Park, which has a restriction?
Well,
sorry, I misunderstood the question. I thought you were talking about, it's Makalei Beach Park, by the way. Not Kapiolani Park.
Thank you. There's very little room in Makalei Beach Park. In fact, the mopeds have taken over in swarms to the detriment of the residents and all the beach users. We should not have more surface in our green space, asphalt surfacing. The law, the posted sign, again, needs to be enforced. No parking on the sidewalk or in the park. I think we could certainly address this with a resolution if that's what the council chair prefers, but perhaps just simple messages would help this along and help enforcement. Thank you.
No, I agree with you. It is an enforcement, and we've asked HPD on numerous occasions to go down there and cite. We've contacted both universities where we believe it's really students riding a moped down there. And, but it really comes down to HPD enforcing. I'm just trying to find a solution that everybody can live with. That's why I'm suggesting perhaps a parking area. But again, I'm going to defer to you folks. I agree with you. You want to keep as much green space as you can. You don't want to be cementing over our parks. But at the same time, the mopeds, despite the police citing these folks, they're still coming, right? So let's work together to find a solution.
And Linda?
I have a few ideas if you want to discuss after the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Chair, Dylan here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a reminder, we do have several items of business. There's 2 presentations and all the elected officials reports. And we are now at 30 minutes on this community concerns with only 7 concerns being raised. So I would move on from this topic.
Okay, well, thank you. And Linda, did you have anything that you wanted to say that was different than this, or just
Just quickly, the weekend before last, the girl that lives up there, Noella, she called the police and had them ticket everybody. There were 80 mopeds parked there, and Makale is too small for that. So it's really a big problem.
80?
80.
Wow. Yeah,
And
and
they
maybe,
UH
yeah.
kids. They were UH students.
And Chair Waters, maybe it's probably more for your time, but as just a follow-up on our friend from the ambassador is, I think egregious noise and specifically designed to be egregious is something that the city council may want to take up. It absolutely impacts the quality of life, and we talk about it. You know, there's laws on how many minutes you can play tambourines in Kapiolani Park. It's strict noise controls on the shell. Performers in Waikiki, but we don't have, or if we have it, it's not being enforced. But when you can see vehicles that have been specifically designed to make noise, a gratuitous noise to harass people, that really needs to be addressed on a city level and then enforced. And you probably have some good information about that, but.
Well, personally, I prefer electric bike. I think that's much quieter and more eco-friendly than fossil fuel burning mopeds. And I agree with you, they're so noisy. But, you know, I would love a resolution from you folks and the other neighborhood boards on the island so that maybe we could phase out mopeds and phase in more electric bikes. Seriously.
Yeah,
I think it'd be great.
Well, I don't think those folks are interested in echo or anything. I think they are just interested in making noise and harassing the public, and that's fun, but it's not fun for the rest of us. Noella, did you have one quick concern, and then we'll move on?
Yes, very quickly, thank you, because I realized, Mr. Buck, we're on a time thing. Mr. Waters, not only are they parking at Makale on the sidewalk and anywhere they can, they're coming up Makale Place and parking on private property. And they're very rude. When I've only had to speak to a couple of them very politely, but they're young and they're very energetic. And they're starting to come up there right after the police ticket them. They come up Makale Place and to the surrounding streets. And they park on people's property. And then Mr. Welch also commented on the noise. The noise down here is incredible. And Miss Wong was absolutely spot on. There's 80 bikes, mopeds down there. I counted 36 the other day. I mean, it's crazy. Women with strollers are walking on the street when the mopeds are on the sidewalk, dog walkers, elderly taking their evening walks during sunset time. They see mobs of people down there. They don't want to come down there. They're elderly. And it's creating just a whole Pandora's box of issues. And quite frankly, you know, I realize these things can't get fixed overnight, but, you know, it's getting to the point where it's the University of Hawaii students in the school need to be reminded. And in closing, majority of these bikes are not registered. Many of them don't even have license plates
Yeah,
on them.
you know, this is Arlene, and I'm very concerned about our time with this meeting.
I'm done, Arlene. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else in person who wanted to have a community concern, Dylan?
No.
Okay, and well, I would suggest also this may be part of the traffic and safety committee meeting that we have, that we bring this up there. And Laura, I see you've got a concern that was also about mopeds in the Kapiolani Boulevard area, and it's just probably more of the same.
And what they're doing is coming off the Kapiolani exit extremely fast, and they're doing these wheelies where they only have the back wheel on the ground and they're riding up in the air, and it's like potentially very dangerous besides being extremely noisy.
I see it on Kapalulu too. Thank you. Well, then this is another topic for the Traffic and Safety Committee along with the Kanaina street exit at the Rainbow Drive. And with that, thank you everyone for coming and expressing your concerns. These are really vital topics for our neighborhood. With that, we'll move on to our presentations, which we have slated for 10 minutes each. We may not need 10 minutes. We have a Department of Parks and Recreation, Division of Urban Forestry District update. Is there someone from Parks and Rec who may be there present? Dylan?
Yes, we do.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, folks. My name is Laura Thielen, and I'm the director for the City and County Department of Parks and Recreation. The board had asked us, once we had our new Division of Urban Forestry Administrator, to come introduce that person. So I'm happy to introduce Roxanne Adams tonight. For those of you who are not familiar with our Division of Urban Forestry, part of the Parks Department mission is to manage the green space and street trees that we have around the entire island, and there are approximately 250,000. And the division also helps manage the trees that are in the city parks. Many of you are familiar with Stan Oka, who was the division administrator for about 30 years. Stan retired about a year ago. Our department's been going through a baby boom generational change. And so we have a number of brand new managers and supervisors. We were delighted to get Roxanne Adams to be our new Division of Urban Forestry Administrator. So while she's new to us, she is not new to the subject matter. And many of you are familiar with her. She grew up on Molokai and has had a long career around plants and forestry, and was with the University of Hawaii most recently, and very instrumental in helping that university become a certified arboretum. Is that the right term? One of the few universities in the world to attain that status. And so we're glad to have her bring her knowledge, experience throughout Hawaii to share with a lot of our newer and mid-level people, to help them raise up with their professional standards in urban forestry, and to work with our park department more collaboratively, who also has new leadership, to increase the number of trees that we have in our city parks, and also to be focusing on equity. Because many of you know that in greening Oahu, there are certain parts of our island that have been overlooked traditionally. And so we are trying to really step out in that area. After Roxanne introduces herself a little bit, we know we can have a little bit of a dialogue with you guys. There's no action item, but I would like to raise something, because we do need to look for a longer term home for our Division of Urban Forestry. So we'd like to open a conversation with you folks and have an opportunity to be put on a future agenda to discuss some possibilities in the district. So with that, let me open it up for Roxanne.
Aloha, council members. Like Laura said, my name is Roxanne Adams. I was recently with the university for 20 years, worked alongside Laura Ruby. She was on our advisory committee. Good to see you, Laura. I'm a tree lover, been a tree hugger since I was about 3 years old, running through the forest with my aunties and uncles. So coming to the city was kind of a dream job for me. The university started to move in a different direction, and the city was doing the things that I always wanted to do, and that's to green our island home. So I appreciate the opportunity to come and share with you guys. I am part of your neighborhood. I live in St. Louis Heights. So I'm sure we'll bump into each other in the shopping centers and grocery stores and the like throughout our community. So thanks very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to working together with you.
Thank you. And are there questions that we have for Department of Parks and Rec and Urban Forestry at this time? Daisy?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Roxanne and Director Thielen. Thank you for coming. My question is that, because of the feral chickens, and there's some inside the, I guess you call it Queen Kapilani Gardens, off Pocky and Montserrat. I noticed you've been trying to do different plants that will survive because several plants are dying. I know you're doing a great job of always changing and taking care of plants, but there's also for chickens. And my question is, I don't know if they are actually doing by digging up for the food for their young ones, whether or not it defeats the purpose of planting new items there. And the worst one I've seen is at Alawai Park, right next to the Alawai School and towards where the canal is. I couldn't believe how big those holes were. And some of the tree roots are starting to show. So there's concern that people may stumble into them, not knowing that there's holes there because it is black and it's hard to see. Also, tree roots are starting to show up. So could signs be placed there too? I haven't seen too much damage done at the Queen Kapiolani Gardens type, but they are making their presence known by digging for things in the yardway. So appreciate if any help can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. And Laura?
I believe the Customer Services Department has a new chicken contract, so we can try and get some information to you folks about that. We also have tried some signage that's more on an educational approach, and we're happy to expand the locations where we can put that.
Thank you. I love those signs. They're
Yeah.
funny.
Okay, and Miss Ruby?
Hi, Director Thielen, and hi, Roxanne, of course. And I just want to say, I know that I've gotten the letter from you folks, and I know that you've also said that you have got to remove the trees at Alawai Park, supposedly in preparation for a bridge to come across. And of course, you know that our many community members do not want the bridge at all. And I'm wondering, because we're going to try to get a full EIS and a stay on any design build on the bridge. And this is going slowly, but if you could possibly hold off on your directive, I know it probably comes from above, that says no more removing or moving trees until finally something comes along. If that could be possible, I feel much relieved because they're my favorite trees and I watched them grow for 43 years now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. We certainly wouldn't be taking any action unless a project actually started. So I think our understanding is that everything's in the design phase and we would not be taking any preemptive steps at this point.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ms. Matson?
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, Laura. We do have had a suggestion for an ideal space for Department of Urban Forestry equipment yard, base yard, and vehicles. And we'd like to discuss that with you, as well as the maintenance of the shower trees at the city bus rest stop on Diamond Head Road. That is on the Malka side, that was developed for the purpose of the bus stop. And we can go into that more. We do so appreciate the Division of Urban Forestry. They really care for the trees in Kapiolani Park. They really care for the trees, period. And we're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had, are there any others in person who have a question for DPR and Duff? Noella?
Miss Thielen, welcome. Just one question, and I don't know if this is your department, and if not, if you could steer me in the right direction, I would very much appreciate it. Down at Mokeley Beach Park, we get all the seals coming onto that tiny little beach, and it's not, you know, they're there in the morning, they come in at night, and they stay all day. So my question is who is the proper people to contact to put an official sign up there saying that this is a seal resting place? People do come on the beach, but I live in the neighborhood. I always call the hotline. but many times that can't happen because, is there any way there could be, the signs that the seals do rest on this beach and not to disturb them? Thank you.
We have been cooperating with the Department of Land and Natural Resources and Department of Health on signage at beaches because they have the Kuleana and the rules over the endangered species and also kind of the shore water, the groundwater advisories and things like that. But we have the land. And so we've made space available for state signage, and we would be happy to work with DLNR on signage for the seals and other things along those lines. So you can contact our office and we can work with them.
Okay, thank you. And I did also want to say thank you for coming tonight, Director Thielen. We appreciate you with showing up and introducing Roxanne Adams. She's eminently qualified. We're thrilled that she's in charge of Duff. You scored with them selecting her, and a consummate professional. And I hope that we could look at, I saw that the Parks Department was featured as well in the primary urban core plan. And maybe that's something we can work out later, but essentially it was, there was some mention of with these deferrals of payment or for parks that these buildings, how do we get around that? How do we enhance our parks? And it's a longer discussion that we can't cover tonight, but I wondered if maybe we can work with Mr. Crocky and others inside of the city to re-green our neighborhoods. And I would love to start with our neighborhood in Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights, where the parks are holding their own. They're keeping the trees, but as you know, we're losing canopy every single year. And it's primarily because of residents cutting down their trees or their one tree that was planted back in maybe the 30s or the 40s, and they're just not being replaced. They're being replaced with concrete. So if we can go back and sort of figure out how to do some retrofitting, it would be hard, but I think the end goal would be worth it, and we would end up with both neighborhoods filled with trees with all the benefits that they bring. So perhaps we could do this as part of a cuckooing the neighborhood, whether it's more trash cans, slower speed limits, more trees, better lighting, all of the things that we need in our neighborhoods all around the island. But happy to be your guinea pig here. If that's, and right, since Duff is located right there in Kapiolani Park, maybe even easier to start with that. So thank you so much again for coming tonight.
Thank you, Chair. If you don't mind, just in the interest of the conversation earlier about city agencies coming to you to open conversations early, I'm going to ask Roxanne to share with the board members that are here, and I'll leave one extra copy with Dylan so he can have for the minutes. Board member Michelle Matson mentioned that you folks have a location in mind for a base yard for Division of Urban Forestry. Some of you are aware that the court has required the base yard for Division of Urban Forestry for basically the tree trimming aspects of the operation to move out of its Pocky Avenue location. We would like to keep the base yard for urban forestry in urban Honolulu. There's many benefits to having that base yard in the urban core area, part of which is the response during emergency events. We've taken a hard look at park locations and other locations under our department for a possibility. And one by one, those have been unusable for certain reasons. The most recent being Dole Community Park it's not something that really could be used as an ingress and egress for emergency events. And as we're seeing during climate change, emergency events are happening fairly quickly, and we need to get the trucks in and out of locations fairly quickly. So one that we've identified is the entrance to the Alawai Golf Course area. It is a 3-acre area piece of property, and we're providing a conceptual plan. It's not at all in any way, shape, or form a proposed plan. We do not have any CIP. This was something done in-house by the former Duff landscape architect, just as a concept to show that you could landscape this area to basically screen and to keep it as a beautiful area for people that are driving by on the street, and basically mask the trucks that were put in the back. We would also be interested to find if this board has identified different properties that might be possibilities to explore those as well. But we just wanted to open up the conversation with the board. Again, the benefits of having Duff remain in the area. I think it's clear that, the emergency response, but also the care for the trees, because they can then deploy staff more readily. And then just as a manager, we would be keeping the nursery at Pocky. Having the staff close to each other keeps a coherence to the staff and to the culture. Sometimes when you divide them up and put them in different locations around the island, there gets to be, a lack of communication between them and kind of a parting of the ways. And there's really a benefit to keep the tree people and the nursery people in close quarters. So this would allow us to be within the same, same realm, I guess. But again, what we're sharing with you today is just something that was an in-house drawing done by somebody just for the purposes to show that it doesn't have to be ugly. It can be pretty. And so if that was one of the concerns about not having it in this location, we'd like to work with you on that. And if you folks have other locations in mind, we are very open-minded. This is something where we don't have a hard and fast proposal at this point. We would just like to start the conversation early. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And maybe that's something we could take up in our Parks and Environment Committee as well, with some other locations outside of that one. And as you suggest, being close by may have some synergistic advantages to that. In any event, I see someone else is there. Dylan, is that the gentleman in orange that you're looking at?
Hi, Winston. How's it going? Ms. Thielen, you would not find a more receptive group of years than at this neighborhood board for your suggestion of having a part of the Department of Recs and Parks and Recreation here at the LOI Golf Course. I would also say that it sounds like a great idea, except there are groups, and there are probably many in the rank and file of Parks and Recreation that would like nothing better than to take this whole golf course property that is part of Enterprise Services and turn this into a central park. So I'm glad I'm here today. I'm glad I heard your suggestion, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure that it does not happen, because this should stay as part of Enterprise Services and a golf course. And your idea is like a beachhead that, eventually we'll grab this property and turn it into a central park.
Thank you, Frank.
Excuse me.
I do want to assure folks, we have no plan for that, and I would be happy to put that in writing. We have absolutely no plan for that.
I didn't get the gentleman's name who spoke. No, I just wanted her.
That's it from in person right now.
Oh, I guess I do have one thing I'd like to say. I have a few suggestions that I'll contact you about where you might want to look at.
Thank you, Arlene. Yeah, and I think that Franklin's concerns are not unique to Franklin. So we look forward to a dialogue with you and being open, communication. We appreciate you coming tonight, and we will not be able to. Perhaps we can follow this up with the Parks Committee meeting later. And Dylan, is there somebody else there in person?
Hi, quick question, and I'm so sorry, I'm just not too informed about this. The diagram you sent has the date May 2014, and I'm not too well versed in this, but I was wondering, one, was this conception kind of drawn then? And then if I know there's a lot of history that happened in almost 10 years, but just kind of where it's been since then, because this was drawn up way back then.
Right. So the court is asked this section of urban forestry to move out of Kapiolani Park some time ago. So there's been over I think the last 20 years, a variety of places were looked at as a possibility for a base yard. So this was surfaced back, I think, in about 2014. And I believe under the prior administration, there was some concept moving forward. And my understanding, I wasn't here, was that that was pulled off the table for a variety of reasons. The department then started looking at Dole Community Park. And when we came in and we were talking with emergency management and taking a harder look at what could happen there, because of rockfall in the lower area and the ingress and egress for the park, that kind of took that off the table. And that's why we're coming back now and saying, okay, we need to take a look at another location that would be feasible.
Thank you for that.
And can you leave a copy of that? I don't know that that was in the okay. Thank you so much. And we look forward to working with you on all aspects of keeping our city green and beautiful. Thank you, Roxanne. Thank you, Director Thielen. With that, let's move on to actually, let's take a 5-minute bio break. Everybody can get up and stretch, get some water, whatever you want to do. You have 5 minutes. We'll come back at 7:30.
Sorry.
get some Chablis. Okay. Bye. Okay, everyone. So that was a bio break. We all need a bio break. Did everybody stretch? Did you get blood going back to your head? If you haven't stretched, then take a moment to stretch. We've all had a long day. We're putting in civic service tonight.
Hi, so sorry.
Stretch if you haven't. Smile like the gentleman is right there. Chris smiling. Thank you, Chris, for smiling. Thank you for coming tonight because you are next on the agenda. So I will ask Chris to talk about what do we got on here? Pahoa Ridge Development, 2779 Waialae Avenue. And we asked for a couple focuses on height limit and other requested variances, traffic impacts, including ingress, egress, and congestion. So with that, I know people have some feelings about this one way or another, so we ask that you deal respectfully and succinctly as you ask these questions. And as much as I love repeating myself, I will try not to, and ask others to do a reasonable job also. Thank you, Chris. If you would take it away, go ahead. You're on mute.
What now? Can you hear me?
Still on mute.
You've got to be kidding me.
We
can
hear you, Chris. No, we can hear you now, Chris.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Thank you. Thank God. I was thinking, uh-oh, I'm in for trouble.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Aloha kako, everyone. I'm Chris Duker, Mahalo Chair Welch for the introduction, and neighborhood board members. I'm actually a member of this community. I live on Owena. And I certainly share some of the same concerns about the moped gangs that are running around, but I'll spare you my comments there. I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to go quickly through this presentation. Let me know when you can see it, please.
Yep.
Okay, super. So again, I'm Chris Duker. I'm with Forum Partners. I'm part of the development team that is developing Pahoa Ridge Apartments. We're really excited about the opportunity to change lives for Kama'aina. Really quickly, this is a presentation that goes about 30 minutes. I'm going to get it done in less than 10 so we can get to questions and answers. We're going to talk about our team, our commitment to Hawaii, the project, our residents, and then our process. So my partner, the majority partner in this project is High Ridge Costa. They're an affordable housing developer from out of California with offices here and headquarters here as well in Hawaii. Honored to be working with them, one of the premier groups in the country. They've developed over 30,000 affordable rental communities across the country, including Hawaii. They have several projects here. Momo Hana is on the line. I'll introduce him shortly. Forum Partners, my company, I've been a developer here in Hawaii for, 25 years. And have mostly worked on market rate residential, pivoted a couple of years ago to focus on affordable housing. I live here. I want my kids to move home. I worry about all of the same things we all do. And affordable housing, I think, is the #1 issue we're facing right now in our community. We're also partnered with the AHEAD Foundation, Scott Settle and his group. They're a nonprofit whose mission is to create more affordable housing, help pass legislation that enables more affordable housing, and is really, really committed to creating more in the state of Hawaii across all islands. So I mentioned our commitment to Hawaii. This is a slice of some of the projects we're working on. These are all affordable housing projects across the state. From Kapolei, we do senior and Kapuna family. We're working in Keavala and Waipahu to develop a transit-oriented development, affordable rental community. Kaka'ako, Salt Lake, and then others I'm not going to get into, but Pahoa Ridge is what we're here talking about tonight. Why are we focused on affordable housing? I think we all know there's 50,000 new homes needed by 2025. We just haven't been building enough housing. We really need to focus on rental housing. We need to focus on affordable housing. 50% of our local families earning 80% of the area median income are unable to purchase a home on Oahu. Part of that starts with a rental. When people can get in affordable rentals, they can save for down payments, and that helps them get into the housing ladder and build equity and build a different life for themselves and their children. It takes, on average, 23.5 years to save for a down payment if you're in the 80% area median income, which there's many, many people in Hawaii. So it's a huge issue, as you all know. Our project, so this is an opportunity we're excited about. It's at 2779 Wailea Avenue, right adjacent to H1 off Kalele Lane, sort of the back door to UH. I know all of you know it well. So why here? We really like this site because of the location, because of this community. I live here like you all do. It's a great opportunity to develop affordable housing. We don't get the opportunity to develop affordable housing in the urban core very much. And so it's special. It's close to jobs. It's close to the university. It's close to services, hospitals, doctors, and things like that. So really, really excited about the opportunity to bring affordable housing here. Property is about 20,000 feet. It's in the urban district. It's zoned A2. There's currently a 6-building apartment complex on the property now. So what do? We put together a great development team. We're working with a lot of our partners here that have been developing and building homes in the state of Hawaii for generations in some cases. That's a key element. It takes a whole village and a lot of people with a lot of expertise to bring these projects to bear. Everywhere from our traffic engineers, our soils report people that are working on what's buildable there, all of the infrastructure, everything that goes into it is thought of and brought to bear to make these projects a reality. Our plan is to develop 211 affordable homes. We have 98 one-bedroom units, 57 two-bedroom, 56 studios, and 281 parking stalls. In addition to that, we have recreational amenities. We think it's important that, affordable homes have not as extensive of amenities as the luxury projects do, but they still need amenities. We want people to be able to come together in community rooms, spend time with their families, make friends, and they're not just in their homes. It's 28 stories. That's 250 feet. I know that's a topic we'll get a lot of questions about. The property is entitled and allows for 150 feet as it is. We are seeking some variances to the entitlements so that we can go higher and build more than is typically built, but that allows us to build more affordable housing, which is really what we're focused on. The plan itself, we'll get a little bit more into detail later when we get into questions, I'm sure. You can see here, Kalele Road, H1 on-ramp, the H1 off-ramp, Wailea Avenue here. Our project is oriented where we move currently to get on the property now to get into that 6-bedroom unit. You enter at this end. It's kind of dangerous because it's close to the corner. It's hard for people to see. We designed the project so that we pushed the entry and we made it a one-way entry here, further from the corner, so you have more room to see and come in. And then when you exit, we push the exit down to the very bottom here so that we make sure that people do not cross over to get on UH. We'll talk a little bit more about how we're doing that, how we're working with DOT to make sure that happens. Zooming in here, you can see this is sort of our first level. We've got a lobby entrance area here. Entering in, you come to a kind of through this sort of internal porte-cochere into our lobby area. You head up. This is a typical unit floor plan that we get into. You can see some of the community rooms and spaces. Typical floor plan here. I already mentioned the unit sizes. We also have a rooftop deck at the top that is an amenity for our tenants that can have barbecues, seating areas, et cetera. Sustainability is important to us. We make sure that these projects meet LEED Silver or equivalent standards. We have Energy Star appliances, charging, all of these things. It's important. Obviously, this building's going to be here for a long time. We want to make sure it's good for the environment. From a community context, you get an idea here and you can see how the building fits in. That's one of the things that's important to us. We always try and look at the area and the community. Obviously, height is an issue and density, but you can see here the building right here in the distance in the middle and how it kind of fits into the context of the other residential high-rises that are in the area. You can see it here in the foreground. A little bit closer up, looking down, H1, Eva Bound, Kapiolani here, and here is coming down Kalele Road. You can see Diamond Head in the background. Give you an idea. Our residents, so, we talk about affordability. Everybody wants to know, what does affordable mean and who's it for? Our target is what we're trying to do with a 30 to 60% AMI, which as you can see in that box there, it's anywhere between people making 30% of the area median income. That's a single person making about less than 30,000, a family of 4 making less than 40,000. And it works its way up through, you know, flight attendants, school teachers, waiters and waitress, mechanics, you know, firefighters. These are our working people of Hawaii, and these are the people that are struggling to find homes. Our process, so we talked a little bit about how we're seeking a 201H entitlement, which allows us to garner some greater height. And in addition, and for that, we have to supply more affordable housing. Our priority one that we're doing, it's very, very difficult to get these projects financed and built. It takes a great amount of time. It does take state and federal tax credits, state bonds and subsidies, and these things are very competitive to get. So what we've done is we're optimizing how we can develop the property. Our priority number one is to develop them as LIHTC rentals. This is 30 to 60% area median income. We have to apply to HHFDC in February of any given year, and we don't find out until third quarter, August of that year, whether we get it. So what we've committed to do is we're going to submit for this type of funding first. If we do not receive the funding, we are going to submit for what's called an RHRF Tier 2 funding, and this is to serve affordable families that are earning between 80 and 100% AMI, and this is sort of that missing middle or ALICE. This is people that don't make enough money to qualify for market housing, but they make too much to qualify for this LIHTC rental, this 30 to 60. Again, this is our priority. This is what we want to do, the LIHTC, but the funds are limited. And so if we can't build that, we want to be able to do Tier 2 if we can reserve the funding. We've committed to submit 2 times for each, the LIHTC and the Tier 2. This encompasses a total of 2 years of pushing to get our financing and our funding. If we are unable to, and again, it's very competitive to get this funding, and there's a lot of projects seeking it, at that point, we have the option to pivot and do a for sale product. That is not what we want to do. We're not doing any for sale now, but it allows us the opportunity, should we not receive funding, to still build affordable housing. I would note too, if we do pivot to this in the future, we will have to come back to HHFDC, and we'll have to come back to the City Council and determine what the sales prices will be at that time. We can talk more about that later. I'm sure there'll be questions. Continuum of affordability. So again, this LIHTC, which is really what we want to do. If you look at the rentals, what we could do is studios, about $687 to about $1,300, depending if it's a single person or a family of 4. If you're in the Tier 2, it's $1,800 to about $2,200. So you can see the difference in AMI levels and how that equates to rent. The rent guidelines are established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We don't get to pick what the rents are, and we don't get to raise the rents. It's dictated to us. Our schedule and outreach, we've done a tremendous amount of outreach over the last year. We had a town hall meeting in May. We're not required to do that. We wanted to get the word out. We sent out a ton of mailers in the area, I think 4,000. We've submitted our 201H entitlement application in June. We did a neighborhood board presentation in July. HHFDC approval, and we've gone out to other neighborhood boards as well, as you can see here down below. And then we had a second town hall meeting in August, meetings with various agencies, community stakeholders, Calvin Say, Senator Ihara, Representative Garrett. We've been working with them to kind of address their concerns, some of that primarily being traffic, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Anyhow, if all goes well, we are hoping to be we'll be in front of HHFDC this month on the 23rd for approval. If the project is approved, we'll be in front of City Council in January of next year. And then if we're approved, we'll submit for our financing with HHFDC in February. Hopefully we receive an award in August. We'd start work on construction drawings, and then we'd start construction in June of 26, finish our move-in of 2028 when people would get there. And with that, I want to pivot just for a quick sec, and then we'll get to questions. I want to talk about the traffic, which has been kind of the #1 issue that's come up. And frankly, it's usually the #1 issue on all of our projects. The traffic impact analysis that we had done was done by our partners, not our partners, but our team that is with Austin Sasumi and Associates. They did a lot of work. They studied the intersections that you can see here on the left. What happens is they do that, and then there's also works through kind of a national program on how urban traffic patterns work, and this has been established nationwide. DPP requires us to do it, as does the Department of Transportation. The conclusions from the study showed that it's expected to generate a total of 64 new trips during the AM period and 76 new trips during the PM. These are the peak hours of traffic. And so, not everyone is traveling at the same time in the morning. And so there is going to be an impact to the traffic in the area. Again, 64 trips in the AM peak and then 76 in the PM peak. Now, we all know traffic's, not great in this area and frankly, not great in town. I drive this every day, as many of you do. There will be, an uptick in traffic. You can see there the 64 and the 76 trips a day. But, one of the things we have to balance is this housing crisis is, where do we put our housing and how do we house our people? And, while there will be an impact here, the studies show that it's not a big enough impact that it would warrant any fixes to the intersections, because they need regional larger fixes that just can't be done without condemnation and other things. So what we did do, though, we heard from the community is well, what can you do? And so we went back and we worked with our engineers and our architects, and we've come up with a couple of solutions that we hope will improve the traffic in the area. We're proposing that speed bumps, humps be put here. The traffic is very fast in here at times, as we all know, and it's very dangerous. It already is today, even without our project. We're hopeful that DOT will allow this and it'll help the traffic. You can see here where we move the distance of the current entry down to here, the exit here. We're going to be adding new delineators, which will actually come out. We're proposing they come out further. And so that one, to ensure that none of our tenants are crossing over, and two, we're also talking about shrinking this area here to allow for a safer turn off of Kalele. One of the things that a lot of the community members that live right in this area had mentioned is that, it's pretty hard and can be dangerous to cross across Waialae when you want to get down and come down King Street. So anyhow, we've been working on this since our last town hall meeting, and we're hopeful that DOT and Department of Transportation and Traffic Review Bench at the city, we're working with them to see if this can get approved and help mitigate some of the existing traffic issues and make sure that we don't cause any more. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Did I make it under 10 minutes?
Hawaii 10 minutes. But thank you, Mr. Duker, for that succinct presentation and for coming tonight. We appreciate you. It's what we ask. Laura, you have a question.
At your previous town hall meeting at, I think, St. Louis Clubhouse, I asked one of your associates, I said, it really, all of that naughty on the freeway and UH and Kalele and everything else needs a four-way signal. Things are put in place in other states, and it needs ways in which you can stop the traffic from as it finally comes into that area. The bumps will slow things down, but it needs the ability of people to be able to go from one part of the vehicle lane all the way through there. So maybe it's vague, I'm sorry, but that's sort of the way it has to be. It's just too difficult to maneuver in that small area. I don't see any plans that you've made for this traffic signals. I think it would be pretty wise. Thank you.
If I may, a great question or point, Laura, thank you for that. I would say, we really are dictated by the Department of Transportation. They actually, the State Department of Transportation controls Waialae Avenue as it comes down here and enters on the freeway. When asked about having an intersection there, they did not want to see an intersection. Part of that is this is kind of a regional connector road, and certainly connecting into the highway, they don't want to see a signal there. But that wasn't something that they want to do or think is warranted.
Okay, well, and I know there's further discussions on this, so as we move along and keeping our points, as best as we can succinctly, Daisy, and then after that, we'll go into the who's there in person.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Question is, when was this traffic study done? During the COVID time, or was it current, like this year? The other question is, what happens when emergency vehicles or first responders needs to get to an accident on that stretch? Because would they be able to go through UH? I understand that most times the gates at UH are closed, and don't forget, there's several games at UH, like the basketball and baseball happening at the same time. And you also have football, that's this weekend, and other events. These things also need to be very, very carefully maneuvered, because I don't know if there's any gate that's open at UH that the emergency vehicle can go through to get to, say, if something happens before the freeway or by your condo. And also, I understand, yeah, it's affordable, but the question is, why do we have swimming pools? Most affordable places, I don't believe they have swimming pools. It's nice to have barbecue areas and shaded areas by cabana, and all these other things don't seem right for an area that is affordable. It seems to be, it's going to be more priced out, and it's more for people to buy and sell. Thank you.
Daisy, great questions, great points. I'm going to see if I can address the first one, and then I'm going to ask Mo Mohana from High Ridge Costa to talk about the amenities in the second one and their experience with many, many affordable communities across the country. First, in terms of fire and police, one of the things that we're required to do is we asked for their comment. They came back and there was no worry about being able to get to this property or to deal with any of the fire or police safety issues. In terms of when the traffic's bad from UH, now I know I've lived it, as we all have. It's pretty bad. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do about that, from our perspective. Work to not make it any worse, which we believe we won't. Mo, can you maybe touch on and talk a little bit about the amenities and why they're so important to our communities and the kids? Oh, Mo, you're on mute. No. All right. Well, I'm gonna steal Mo's answer because I know how he answered it.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you now. There you go, Mo.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. First and foremost, to clarify, High Ridge Costa, we're an affordable housing developer. We have completed 310 communities within the company's history. None are affordable for sale. So we're not an affordable for sale developer. This is simply an alternative that the state of Hawaii, HHFDC, has asked for alternatives. This is not what we do. This is not our preference. That's number one. So we do not design these for sale. We design them as we design our communities. I will welcome you to please jump on our site and take a look at the 300 plus communities. You'll be surprised that they have pools and spas. That's a fairly common thing. Playground areas and amenities. That is not an uncommon thing in the designs that we do. So feel free to take a look at over 300 communities on our website, and you'll see that these are very common amenities. We feel that the fact that it's a rental, there is no extra charge for such amenities, and if the project can afford it, we feel it's right to amenitize such a community, encourage people to come out of the units, create relationships and friendships, and create an area that they can congregate. It's a family product, so there are children, there are younger people. So we believe it's important to amenitize them and to allow them a place to have activity and exercise and outdoor. Now, if they wish to go to the beach, luckily the beach is available. We're going to have a fitness room as well. But by no means, these are working class people that we should deprive them of the amenities that we otherwise provide in practically most of our affordable housing communities across the nation.
Thank you. On that note, does the one
actually-
for the Chinatown have a swimming pool? That's for affordable units.
Yeah, that's not ours. Other developers, for example, Daisy, they prefer not only not to put swimming pools, they prefer to do a 2-bedroom with 1 bath. Our policy, we don't do a 2-bedroom with 1 bath. We do a 2-bedroom with 2 bath. So when you compare us to many other affordable housing developers, I will go from bathroom count to amenities to swimming pool to fitness room to specifications that other affordable housing developers do not do, that we do. We develop and we own our properties long term. So we believe it's important to create value and a product that people want to live in and is comparable to others in the market. We pride ourselves by saying that our affordable housing, you cannot differentiate it from market rate. I'm not comparing to luxury, but I'm comparing to market rate.
Okay, thank you. Chris, I think you misunderstood my question. My question is,
I did.
suppose there's an accident right there as you get on the freeway and trying to get to Beretania Street, all the lanes are blocked off. How is the emergency response people being able to go and to that particular area? Because the only way I can see is through UH, and UH most times the gates are locked. So I don't understand how EMS and etc. can access the accident. Has that been
Daisy,
addressed?
I think I understand your question a little better. I don't know that I can answer it. I mean, I guess I'd want to go back and talk to our traffic engineer, but I would say, you know, even without our project there now, if there was an accident that blocked the emergency vehicles, that kind of exists now, and it can happen in many areas. I mean, I understand your point, though. This is a bit of a pinch point here. The other thing, Daisy, I realized I didn't answer your question when you'd asked about the traffic counts, and I wanted to address that when the traffic study was done. It was not done during COVID. We have heard people say that. Our traffic counts were originally done in September of 2022. And then our traffic study was finished in June, the draft in June of 2023. And then we've been working on revisions that Department of Transportation and Traffic Review Branch has asked us over the last couple of months. And so it's just being finalized now because we have to wait for comments from all of the different state and city agencies before we can actually finish the traffic study. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Don't forget, this is when they're going to have basketball, men's volleyball, the softball, the baseball, and you're going to have 4,000 plus 10,000 people. I don't know how many cars, but that's going to affect the traffic too. I think those are very pertinent questions to this intersection that affects everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy.
One of the things, Daisy, I failed to mention, we did go out subsequently to our last town hall meeting, and we had the speeding studied and to gauge how much faster people are going down Waialae. And when we had the study done, it was showing, I think it was 5 to 10 miles an hour, depending on the time, is the average that people are going over the limit through there. So it's a dangerous corner somewhat because you can't see around it.
Thank you. And Dylan, is there anyone in person there who would like to ask a question or comment?
Public first.
I would.
We do have board member Knight.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for coming and doing your presentation. I did have a question in regards to, I guess it's tier 1 and tier 2 for rentals. And I was wondering, in the spirit of affordable housing, if you knew if there was a percentage or how many units would be kind of reserved for more housing first in Section 8, if that was a consideration.
If I may answer that one. So the question of Section 8, first let me clarify that this is not a project-based Section 8 community, meaning we do not provide vouchers. However, in Hawaii, what is very common is the City County of Honolulu issues what is known as mobile vouchers for people that qualify, and they, by fair housing, have the right to take them to any rental community and rent. So we don't have, so anybody coming in with a mobile voucher with the right income limits can qualify to live there, but we do not project a certain number of units. It's whoever comes through the door, we are required to process the application and accept them. But we don't have any project Section 8 built in.
Can I ask a follow-up on that, Mo? It's hard to hear you a little bit, but did you say that for any of your projects or all of your projects in the past, that none of them have gone to sales and that they are all still held as rentals? Did I hear that correctly?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That is correct. If you look through our website, 310 communities, we were successful in getting allocations on all of them. So the affordable for sale is a backup option. I myself have done affordable for sale, but it is our backup option. But no, our communities, we've successfully, we try once, we try twice, and we've successfully in 30 years been able to get an allocation.
Can you tell me about this priority 1, priority 2? How optimistic are you or realistic are you that you would get funding for priority 1 and priority 2?
So I'm a developer. Let me caveat that. I have to be optimistic. The reality is we select them and we scored them. I would say we are reasonably optimistic. The reason for this triple track rather than a dual track is the number of oversubscribed applications. It used to be every 2 applications submitted, 1 gets an allocation. We're averaging between 3 to 4 per 1 application being funded. We're entering into a new stage. And by direction from HHFDC, they asked us to look at the missing middle component, which we are going to break ground on our first project in another area. And this, so I would say there's a better than 60% chance that we'll get our allocation, but I don't have the crystal ball.
And would that be for priority 1 or priority 2 if you were guessing?
I'm going to guess the higher percentages for priority 1, LIHTC, 60% AMI, that's the direction. And then the second probability is going to be tier 2. The third and last probability is the for sale. That's the far and few between, and that's why you don't see many of those affordable for sale projects. You see where they do a percentage, but not what we're doing here.
Thank you. And Dylan, is there someone else in person who would like to comment or question?
Not at this time.
Then let's move on to other folks online. Patty, you've had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. Hello, Chris and Mo. Hi, some of my questions that I received from the neighborhood community that I wanted to share with you, of course, is traffic related. The folks are asking, when will the study be available for people to look at? And my second question will be the status of your entitlement permits. I know you covered the timeline, but I'm a little confused about have you received your height variance permit or not? And you also mentioned your HHFDC meeting is on November 23rd. I thought HHFDC meet on the second Thursday of the month, so which was today, and the next meeting I assume will be sometime in December. My last question is, you addressed quite a few concerns regarding traffic up on Wildlight Avenue, up to Kalele Row, and I brought this up to your attention at our meeting with DTS is when your residents from your building are going to come out to make a turnaround so that they could go on to H1 West, they're all going to be stuck by the small little lane right in front of Cakewalk, which is across from the Humane Society. There's currently a very narrow lane that can only fit 3 cars or 4 maybe, and that's right in front of cars coming out from Hawaii Kai. So you're going to create a problem there, and I haven't heard any discussion on that. And I really think you folks and the Department of Transportation should really look into that as well, because you're going to cause a major backlog into the freeway from folks coming off from Hawaii Kai, and also turning around in that really weird corner by Contesta. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me tackle a couple of those different questions, and I'm sure I'll forget something, so you'll have to remind me again. But so I'm sorry, I misspoke when I said November 23rd. It should have said December 9th. What it said before was November of 23. So December 9th is actually when we are scheduled to be in front of HHFDC board for a motion on this. It's a public meeting,
Chris, it should be December 7, not December 9.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I have it?
It's
is that
okay.
the Thursday?
December 7.
Thank you. It's two in a row. The third time's the charm. So December 7th, we'll be in front of the HHFDC board for action on this. When our traffic study will be finalized, I don't have a definitive answer for you yet. It will be before then. As I said earlier, we're still working with the different agencies to finalize that study. And then, and then we're planning on being in front of the city council sometime in January for hopefully the variances and the project being approved. So first it has to be approved by HHFDC, their board, then it goes before city council. And when it goes before city council, there's a meeting before the zoning committee. It's a public meeting. People can come and talk and speak, express support or concerns. And then we go before the full council after that. So in January, those dates. And then in terms of, I think what you're referring to, the area over in front of the Humane Society. So there's a lot of things at play there. One of the things that has been talked about is extending the turn lane there, kind of as you referenced, but there's some discrepancies within DOT about whether that is the right thing to do or not. There's some issues there that it creates a longer walkway for people crossing a crosswalk without that island there. And there's also the buses then, instead of pulling over and out of the way when people load on and off, they would be stopping in the street, thereby holding up traffic as well. So it's, we don't have a definitive direction on that one yet, but it has been studied and looked at.
Thank you.
Okay,
Did I
great.
answer all your
Thanks.
questions, Patty?
Sort of.
Yeah.
So just wanted to remind you and everybody that that Humane Society Way is within 50 yards of Coquille Elementary School, where a lot of students walk home or to the bus. So I would like to remind everybody that it's critical to have pedestrian safety there. We don't want any more children getting run over by speeding cars. So to clarify what you're saying, HHFDC approval comes before City Council entitlement permit. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. First
Okay.
HHFDC, then council.
Okay, so that means by December 7th or shortly thereafter, you would know which option you'll be taking, right? Option 1, option 2 at the various rental rate,
Yeah,
or
if I may.
option 3, which is for sale. Is that correct?
Patty, it's a very good question. It's a confusing. HHFDC plays two functions. It plays a planning function and a financing function. The function currently being played by HHFDC is planning only. Once planning is received by the HHFDC's board, then goes to city zoning and city council, as Chris mentioned. Then after that, we can apply for financing to the HHFDC financing arm. So no financing applications at this time are being reflected. It's only planning applications. That answer your question?
I understand. Yes, that's very good. That makes it a little bit more understanding. Because I just wanted to say that if it's really truly for option 1, I feel that a lot more community member would be supportive of that versus like a for sale market, because we don't need more of those where they go for millions of dollars.
I honestly would say it would be our worst case scenario, and I mean worst with capital W. No.
Okay, well, worst case can happen as well, which is why I wanted to ask
When
these
I
questions
say,
ahead.
When I say worst case, the reality, worst case, it's the most financially infeasible option. So if I sit down and delve into finances, you will see that that is not the last option by choice. It's the last option, even financial feasibility. It's very tricky with interest rates and everything else. So we are going to do everything we can to do the option 1, which is the light tech. That is the most financially feasible. And then option 2, the affordable housing. The reason it's a rarity, it's a nightmare financially, and we try to avoid it at all costs. So this is truly.
Okay. Promise, last question. If you do or do not get the HHFTC planning or the city council entitlement, what are your plans with the property?
Goodbye. It's as blunt as that. We're not a land holder player. We're a developer. We process. If we can develop it, we develop it. We can't develop it, we move on to the next site. It's as plain as that. And we find these sites and we believe they are viable sites. They're very hard. They're very rare. It's incredibly difficult to get landowners to work with us and give us the time needed. That's why you see the cost of housing so high. So it's unfortunate if it does not get approved because there is no land within proximity of downtown. Hence, traffic continues to increase. This one is an opportunity for people to be within very close distance to employment centers, including taking public transportation and not taking hours to get there. So I would be very disappointed from a affordable housing development perspective, such a site to go towards luxury or towards others. So I hope it gets approved, but if it doesn't get approved, then it doesn't get built. I mean, that's why you have a process.
I applaud your thought to help with affordable housing, but this is the wrong piece of land for your purpose for this density. I encourage you folks to look elsewhere that wouldn't create such a dangerous situation for everybody, not just in the vicinity, but a lot of folks from St. Louis Heights, from Kafahulu that travel there and Waikiki. So that's my comments. Thank you.
And Patty, one thing I would add, and I think as a member of the community, I think about as well, but the property, as I'd mentioned before, is zoned A2, which allows for multifamily and apartment development. I think, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, the height limit that's allowed here is 150 feet. So to the extent that we're not able to develop the affordable housing, that would be extremely unfortunate. As Mo said, we'll move on and find somewhere else to do it. But there is the distinct possibility that somebody could come in after us and say, hey, we're just going to go 150 feet and we're going to do luxury. And instead of 211 units, they're doing, I don't know, 100 or 110. So the property does allow development and 150 feet in height. So just keep that in mind, I think.
I would add, Patty, whether this project gets developed or doesn't develop, the issues you describe in your traffic concerns are there. Those are issues that are not created, and the impact as shown by the traffic study is not where the problem is. The problem is there needs to be significant regional traffic improvements, and neither this project nor the 150-foot project is going to solve those. Your issue is with TOD and traffic, where you need to tell them, as other speakers before you have mentioned, we need some serious change in regional traffic patterns. Those are beyond the capability of this project to do there. It's not a matter of conditioning the project to put a four-way intersection that renders it completely infeasible. These are regional issues that are there before this project has come about. And as you have members coming and reporting from various departments, those questions are the ones they need to answer. It's not that we don't want to answer them, as we can't answer them. There's nothing we can do about them, but we agree with you as to all your concerns.
And I agree with you as well. It's the problem has been there and in existence, but we would like to ask you not to add to the problem, to make it worse, or at least be part of the solution, to be a Pono developer, not make everybody's life more dangerous and difficult.
Thank you.
And I hope you understand that. Thank you.
We do.
And Lai?
And Patty, just real quick, I just want to mention, and Patty, I totally agree with you. I live here. It means a lot to me in my community and what it's like it does for everyone. But I would say I think we all have to think about the fact that, we have a huge housing crisis. And yes, traffic is an issue. We have to make sure this is safe. We believe that we are doing the best we can to make it a safer area based on the things that we're proposing that are, as Mo mentioned, are already issues. But we have to all balance that as community members with, we got people that are homeless, we're losing our kids, it's a huge issue, and we're trying to provide affordable housing. And that's a choice. I mean, some people will never support it because of the traffic. Some people will recognize and say, hey, I think it's worth it to have 65 additional trips in the morning and 75 at the peak hours. But anyhow, mahalo for your questions and your points.
Yeah, exactly, I agree with you. You have good intention, but this is a wrong piece of property.
Thank you, Patty. And Lai, Nakata?
Yes, thank you. I live on Calais Road. I've lived here for almost 75 years. And when my son was 5 years old, he attended school at Kuhio Elementary. But because the traffic was so bad and it was dangerous for the JPOs to man the streets for them to cross across the Wailai, they gave everybody in 1972 district exception to attend Hokulani School. That's how dangerous the traffic was in 1972. And this is 50 something years later. And it's since then, the dormitories were built. Stan Sheriff Center with 10,000 capacity was built. The Les Murakami Stadium with 3,400, and now the TC Chang Football Stadium with 15,000. We've had problems here throughout the years, but we've managed to make do with it. It has been dangerous. We had a neighbor just a month ago, got run over crossing the street, landed up with 2 broken legs and injured shoulder and head, some head abrasions, who's recovering in therapy now. Now, this place has a crosswalk right by the freeway and another one right by Koali Road. This is a dangerous turn. It is the main corridor to get onto the freeway to the H1 West. It is also a turnaround point for coming off H1, going around, circling around, coming back to King Street from the Contessa side. It is also on-ramp to get to the east, H1 East, and off-ramp from the east side on back down to in front of the Humane Society. How can you say this is not a traffic problem or not a traffic problem that you're going to compound? It is a dangerous situation already. And the bus travels there every 10 to 12 minutes. He has to cross from the Malka side to get to King Street, to get to the Humane Society stop sign. This is, as it is, 1 lane going down, 2 lanes going down to the freeway. One has to merge on it. The lane going across to King Street, you're going to add all these residents, which are hundreds of cars, to compound thousands of people that use this as a main corridor to get around to King Street or Britannia Street. I cannot see how you can altruistically want to build this and not consider everybody else's lives you're going to impact and the traffic. This is not like all your other 300,000 affordable places you've built on the mainland. This is Hawaii, where land is finite. If there was a emergency vehicle that had to go through, there's no way cars can pull over to the side. There's no land, no sidewalk, no driveways that they can let an emergency vehicle through. This is going to impact lives from the time you're building it with construction material, demolition, construction material, everything. I think that the best thing you folks can do for this community is not to build it here. They are building other high rises affordable down on Kapiolani. That street is wide. It has many lanes. They have access without access onto the freeway. You're talking an on-ramp going off, coming around, an on-ramp going on, another one coming off. If you really read Civil Beat, it names the 2 worst engineering roadways in Honolulu as the one by the Church of the Crossroad where the freeway goes on and comes off, and this one right in front of the Humane Society, which is a accident ready to happen anytime. Lives are in danger, not only in vehicles, but as pedestrians. I would honestly say that for the good of the community, if you wanted to do something altruistic, is build this affordable high rise somewhere else. We're all for affordable housing, but this is not like any other state you build in. This is where the community is set. There's no road widening available. The DOT, we talked to them. The 3 of us talked to the head of DOT. There's very little they can do. Your building of this might be for the benefit of several hundred, but it's going to impact so many lives that I don't think anybody would want this building built there, even if it was for affordable housing. You could probably find somebody somewhere else where the community would welcome it more. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I just want to clarify that we have numerous buildings in Oahu, some on tighter properties in downtown Honolulu. One just recently finished on a location even more difficult than this one. So we understand your concerns, and we took note of everything you said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Kei Ishii?
Yes, Chair Wood, Chair Welch.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
Arlene. I'd like to point out it is 8:20 and we haven't even gotten to any of our officials.
True. And I know this has been an important issue that people wanted to discuss, and I think we're fairly close to wrapping up here. So I'll ask for Mr. Mrs. Ishii and David S. To go after that, and then we can move on from there.
Okay, I just want to say that I appreciate the neighborhood, my neighbors who have spoken before. I agree with them. I just really want to stress to you, Mr. Dukar, you say you live in the neighborhood. Please consider our community and the disruption this would cause. Mo says that you've built in an even more difficult area. Well, I feel sorry for the people that you built a place in an even more challenging area, because I can't imagine something more challenging than this. And if you did disrupt another neighborhood that is even more challenging, I regret that happened. And so please don't do it to another neighborhood. Thank you.
Ma'am, I just want to make sure that we work very closely with our neighborhoods and our neighbors. We do plans, we meet with them, we meet with the neighbors, and our objective is to become a neighbor, not otherwise. So I understand your concerns, but I just want to make sure it's not that when I give the example of we built in a more difficult neighborhood, it's not about making people's life difficult. It's about dealing with them with respect and treating them with respect. So whatever happens here, either way, you will find that we will work very respectfully with the neighbors, notice them, and do everything we can to minimize the disruption. This is not about just a developer coming and building. So I appreciate your concerns. I hear your comments, and should this come through, you will find us to be as cooperative and respectful as we can to every neighbor. But thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And,
David?
David?
I would just, can I just add really quick? It's, we understand communities are impacted, and we, as Mo mentioned, we do our best to mitigate that and to be good neighbors. I mean, I've developed projects across the island, and it's always difficult in any community that we come into. It's primarily the same issues from every community on the island, is traffic, density, and some of these things. I'm not dismissing the items you're talking about. We do hear you loud and clear, and we have been working to mitigate as best we can some of these larger issues. But as Mo had mentioned earlier, some of these are regional issues that we can't alone solve. But thank you very much for sharing, and we take what you're saying to heart.
Thank you. And David S.
Yes, thank you. I have just have 2 or 3 questions here. One, technical. In the last town hall meeting, it was stated by your work group, your development group, that in the workforce plan for the development, they used a manual. Do you know what manual they used to establish they said about 60% workforce that would generate the traffic both afternoon and evening?
You're talking about the traffic study.
Yeah.
What was the
The reason why I asked that
64%?
is
Are you?
I hope we get to see the traffic analysis
Yes.
prior
So
to the council
we-
or
we
agent.
not have that answer. Sorry to interrupt, but we not have that answer, Andy, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the traffic study, along with all the plans, will be made public record, and they will be available when they go with the board or
Good.
council.
That's how I'll make sure that we get it, as well as the layout plans for the development. I couldn't see the floor plan, the site plan that you guys had, as well as the unit floor plans that will generate land use activity and resident activity. And hopefully we will get to see it prior to the hearing. The last question I had is, have you had separate meetings with the University of Hawaii on the traffic impact that they will have? And specifically the placement and location of Pahoa Ridge and its height because of its proximity to the athletic campus and the geometry of the unit to the athletic fields, in which I think if my trigonometry is correct, the higher floors will have full view of the playing fields of Murakami Stadium, Ching Field, and even possibly the new soccer fields are going to happen.
So to answer your question on the views, yes, on the units that face EVA and the university, as you get higher in the building, you'd have views of all of UH campus there, which includes the baseball stadium and I guess glimpses of the current football stadium. But I don't know if you get full unobstructed. I think they're angled, but yes, there's views there. And then on our website, pahoaridge.com, there is I think we have the site plan and the unit plans are on there, so you can go there and see them.
Yeah, I've went to there, but they're the generic type. They don't have enough detail, whatnot. What you showed today adds more information, but again, I can't see it on my small computer screen.
The detailed plans, once HHFTC staff reviews them and, any comments we address will be made available public along with that. And to your earlier question, we did meet with the University of Hawaii staff and shared the plans and shared the direction with them. And they actually like the location because of availability to service some of the staff at the university. So they are aware, we've met with them, they've seen the plans.
Okay, interesting.
Thank you, sir.
Few of the games.
Yeah, as soon as you can put that on your website, I think it's appreciated, and before even if your HSF meeting. And I notices Michelle did have her hand up to ask a couple quick questions. I know we have other items on the agenda, but I did want to make sure that she had a chance to ask what she needed to.
Thank you so much, Chair Welch. As the Planning and Zoning Chair, I do have two questions for Mo, and thank you very much for presenting all of this information. And then I want to go on to Chris and be very succinct with that portion. So first of all, Mo, you mentioned a missing middle component that you're contemplating. Where would you be developing that? And then I have one more question for you.
In the financing options, the two financing options that we provided, we distinguish between them by naming one affordable, as in low-income housing tax credit program, and that's provides rent for families earning 60% of the area median income or lower.
Oh, no. I meant the missing middle component where you fill in with mid-rises in large gaps of established neighborhoods and community districts.
Correct.
Where is your missing middle component development that you're contemplating, or did I misunderstand that you were?
No, you did not. I misunderstood your question. The current missing middle we're contemplating is in Kaka'ako and next to Mother Waldron Park.
Okay, thank you. And then regarding public transportation, you mentioned that would be an option for the affordable unit residents. Are you planning to put a bus stop at that location so they can use public transportation?
I wish we could. We have been asking, and I don't know that we have an answer definitive to that because of the traffic circulation. We typically do ask on our communities to have a bus stop, but we don't have a yes on that yet.
Yes, that would add to the immense complexity and confusion. So it's probably best to avoid that. Now on to Chris. as a neighbor, you may know how this will directly impact all of Diamond Head, Kapahulu, and St. Louis Heights westbound traffic. And so this is a very large area. We are the most directly impacted community district of all the neighborhood boards. And you made a presentation to Manoa and Makalimo-Ili-Ili, which is on your slide schedule, but you also have on that slide that you made a presentation to our neighborhood board in August. I don't believe that was a presentation. I believe you simply appeared under community comments to inform board members that there was going to be a small community outreach meeting, I believe, with surrounding residents. And I believe Patty attended that one. So this is the presentation and is why we are dedicating a lot of time to this. Given the fast track of the HHFDC meetings and city council, and we know how they move. Going to the traffic, traffic convergence, it stated that the exit traffic will be directed over the overpass instead of crossing the lanes to the freeway on-ramp. Okay, that's fine, but those who want to go west will have to travel in a circle around and go back up to Waialae, King Street to Waialae, and then to the on-ramp. And by doing so, they will be merging with the Kobayashi Towers 1,005 unit traffic, and creating a huge impact on the communities that already have to use this on-ramp. You mentioned that the height limit is 150 feet, but this is the Kapahulu master plan, I believe, shows that the height limit is 60 feet at that parcel location. So I think that needs to be double checked. We were very active on the Kapahulu master plan, and the district actually, the zoning district went all the way up to the freeway. I agree with Patty. Despite a drone shot of town, this is an out of place structure within the surrounding area, and you have to consider the surrounding area of low density. This shoots up like fireworks in the middle of a residential area and a necessary thoroughfare. Let's see. I think that's about it. If you have any responses to these concerns, we did submit comments to HHFDC, and Mr. Palmer said he would be reviewing those. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, Michelle.
So let me address a couple of those. I hope I wrote them down and got them all. But in terms of presenting to this neighborhood board, we had come and informed everyone about our town hall meeting. I believe it was our second town hall meeting. And I think the first one we had emailed to let everyone know that we were having it. One of the things is we all see when we're working in a neighborhood board, there's a lot of things that are on the agenda. So it's tough for us to present in 10 minutes and really have deep conversation and address questions and concerns. So we've done these 2 town hall meetings, and that's why we came before the neighborhood board and others, was to invite everyone and make them aware of what we were doing. And obviously we're happy to be here tonight to present. The one thing I want to mention though too, that a lot of times people don't think about, but most of all of our projects, when we're developing them and finish them, most of the residents, up 90%, 80 to 90% of the people that will be living in this community are coming from the area within the community that's here. So a lot of the people that, that are going to be in this community already live in the community and are already driving their cars and are already creating traffic. So it's not a one-to-one of, oh, everybody that comes here is going to be moving in, from off island or another part of island. It's mostly people that are already here and driving. So I think that's something that, needs to be considered. And then in terms of the exit, we've structured it to be safe as possible to come and you take a left so people don't cross over and go onto the freeway. So, you are right in that if they want to go west, you have to come down and go around to the other side. But that is a situation for everybody that lives in this community. And then I may have missed something, but
yeah, she asked about, we mentioned that the height is 150, and she referred to a different plan on a 60-foot height.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the 60-foot height plan. I think the previous owner or the current owner at one time maybe was considering something, or somebody before that. Obviously, this property's been somewhat underutilized with just, a lot of vacant area. So I know a lot of developers have looked at this over the years.
Actually, it's the zoning height restriction of 60 feet that's in the Kapahulu master plan that was adopted by the city for this particular parcel, along with all the other parcels going up to the freeway. So I think we might want to look at that.
We will look at that. Our understanding is the zoning allows 150, but we will double check that, and we will double check that with HHFTC. They'll address it.
I have a copy of the plan if you'd like to see it.
Please, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
And with that, I think we've taken a lot of time on this, and it's an important issue for the community, as Michelle said. So we need to take time in it, and these bleed into all other issues, whether it's traffic safety and homelessness and everything else. We certainly appreciate you coming tonight, gentlemen. The public will have a chance to weigh in on this again in front of the city council and the zoning committee as those come up. And we look forward to working with you as time goes by. I appreciate you both coming tonight, and hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone, for your time, and thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Mahalo.
Mahalo, everyone. Aloha. Bye.
And with that, it's true we are limited in time. I don't think we will have all of our representatives here. It speaks to the fact that we do need longer meetings. That has been squashed by the Neighborhood Commission office right now. It's something that we are working on as well. But let's move on straight away to, I want to take out of order actually the committee reports, because I don't think that we have any at this point. So I will move on to our congressional delegates. Is there anyone here from Ed Case's office? Senator Hirono's office? Or Senator Schatz's office? I think we do have someone from the governor's office, I hope.
Aloha kako. This is Claudia Rapcock. Normally I'm in person with you all, but today joining remotely so that I don't disgust you all with the cough that I have recovering from the cold that I've been suffering from. I will keep this very brief. I've provided a copy of the newsletter from the governor's office to the neighborhood board, so that should be in the documents. From the perspective of one of the key items that I know you always have many questions about is housing proclamations and housing issues, which we've just heard quite a bit about. Just as a point of reference, if you haven't seen it, there was another revision to the emergency proclamation on housing made in late October that did a couple of things. One, it basically reaffirmed kind of the role of the county planning offices and did remove some of the more problematic things from a public perspective related to sunshine laws and other activities such as that. So just calling your attention to that, but otherwise I am here to answer any questions should you have them.
Thank you, Claudia. Are there any questions for our governor's representative tonight in person? Dylan?
Arlene, I have a quick question regarding the marina at the LOI Marina and the free parking. And in addition to the free parking, I would like a response from the governor's office on the state of the marina as far as there hasn't been a pump out station for a 700 boat marina since 2006, nor has there been a fuel station available for the boats. And that creates an environmental hazard. So I'd like the governor, since he appoints the board of directors of DLNR that oversee the harbor, if they could investigate this and give us a report.
Thank
Will
you.
do.
Michelle?
Thank you. Claudia, I would like to know regarding the county's role in the affordable housing process. Could you send us, I guess, a Ramsard version of the emergency proclamation as it was and as it stands now? Does this give the county more, I guess, more authority to make the right decisions for the housing density, height, and location for the affordable developments? And if not, we need to look at the statute, the 201H statute. And I have also been informed by the planner reviewing the Pahoa Ridge project that the HHFDC does not make the final decision. It is the city council on whether a project will move forward. And the city council has the right to approve or disapprove. But what the city council is doing is bargaining with all the list of exemptions. And we saw that with the Kobayashi Tower. But this was before the emergency proclamation was modified. So we'd like to have a copy of that with the changes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for our governor's representative? Seeing none, we appreciate you coming tonight. We hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to our mayor's representative, Mr. Blangiardi's representative, and we have our very lovely Anton Krucky. Thank you so much, sir, for waiting so patiently and listening to all of the concerns of our residents.
Chair, I'm glad to be here. I put most of the information. I have a couple more in the chat box as you requested. I do want to thank Laura and for coming out with Roxanne. I try to bring folks to you to do those presentations. I was surprised nobody asked Roxanne any questions in particular, but through your committee work, you can do that. I brought Roger Morton a couple of times and Jiro Samata from DPP. So keep giving me input on folks that you want to have come. They're very helpful to me and they're responsive because I get asked to go to a lot of other neighborhood board meetings as well. So I've covered most of the pieces that I have to report. It's in the chat. I will continue to say, look at the mayor's newsletter. It's a great place to see what's going on and also to give us feedback on the activity. A lot of the affordable housing projects that were in there that have broken ground were projects that my department helped fund. The last one that I had that I didn't get a chance to put in the chat was about after the Complete Streets community meeting on 9/28 on the rehabilitation of Kailua Avenue. There were a couple of concerns. One with the reduction of vehicle lanes to create bicycle lanes. How will the vehicles overtake the city buses and refuge trucks? And the answer from DTS was with any configuration on Kilauea Avenue, city buses and refuse trucks will continue to service the curb as they do today, either in the proposed bike lanes or in the parking aisle. No new vehicle conflicts are anticipated. And then as Kahala Elementary School is registered as an extreme tsunami evacuation zone, concerns were raised on how residents will evacuate in a timely fashion if there's only one vehicle lane in both directions on Kilauea Avenue. The proposed traffic study safety changes to Kilauea Avenue primarily involve pavement markings that would not constrict the width of the usable roadway during emergency evacuations. So those are my prepared remarks, and I'm, willing to take any questions or anything, Chair.
Thank you. I see, is there anyone in person who has a question, Dylan?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to Daisy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director. That was my question about Kilauea Avenue and complete streets. The funny thing is, a few nights ago, Ben Gutierrez of Hawaii News Now reported that project. And it seems as though the city was to go ahead with it. So I'm confused. I still don't see how vehicles can overpass each other if, you're gonna merge two traffic lanes to one, especially in emergencies or, trying to get passed through there because from 18th to Kunakai, there's no median strip. But from Hunakai to Wilson Elementary, there's median strip. So I don't know how they're going to coordinate that. And also, I'm not sure if Kalani Holy Highway is state or if it's city, because those people have to merge into Kilauea Avenue. So that's going to be a big problem. So I'm confused whether the project is a go, because it was reported on Hawaii News Now. So I find that very strange that they should be announcing something at this stage when it's still in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get a determination on that.
And Mr.
Sure.
Cookie, I did have a question about the PUC plan where it has some dramatic changes to our neighborhood. When we were attending the meetings earlier, they said that they could not or would not send even a postcard to every address that was considering massive changes as far as the height limits. That it was, I don't know if it was not affordable. I mean, it's probably a nickel, both great, saying, hey, this is happening or this might be happening. What do you think about it, good, bad, or otherwise? I thought it was a very disingenuous answer and just designed to negate public input on that. But I think that it would be well worth the city's. Well, it's necessary just to let people know that their entire tax base or neighborhood would change. And we're not talking million residents. We're talking just, some targeted ones where they could just send a postcard to every, resident in the areas where they're changing the height limitations. And I also noticed that they eliminated what those height limits would be per building on the diagram that they had where they were there before. But in any event, I think we should do that just as a matter of good policy. I see someone has a question or comment in person, Dylan.
It was just me as a response to Daisy's questions. I did want to note that from Council Chair Waters' office, Amanda Zepeda, she put a lot of information in the chat. So Daisy, if you can check out the chat, there's YouTube videos and there's some other documents that you can check out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both, Amanda and Dylan. Thank you.
And maybe we could also have someone come to our, Mr. Cookie, if we can, to our, if we call a traffic and safety meeting from the city that could, help us just be right there and have someone to listen to our concerns and maybe give immediate feedback as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll try to do that.
Okay, Noella, have something briefly?
Yeah, really brief. Mr. Krucky, regarding height development, regulations and things like that. But my concern is safety, and this is a very simple question. Will the city and county work with developers on working with them regarding areas where they would like to build and the controversial areas, as we spoke about earlier? Will they be working with the city, or do the developers work with the city to establish sort of emergency roads because of the traffic that will be created because of new development? Thank you.
Well, most of the relationship between the developers and the city is with the Department of Planning and Permitting. They have to meet those standards. And if some of those standards are changed for affordable housing, which is a crisis for our community in many different ways, But, if it's determined that the traffic won't work and there's additional things being needed, yes, the city does work with developers. We work closer with developers when they're doing it on city land. These places are more public process, which you went through tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crucky. I know we have not do enough justice to have time for other issues, but especially long presentation on that one development. But we do look forward to working with you and following up on these other issues, and hope you have a happy Veterans Day weekend.
Thank you very much. Good to see everybody.
With that, I don't know if Councilmember Say is still here, but if not, maybe someone from his office.
You skipped over Chair Waters.
Sorry, Mr. Chair Waters. Thank you.
Hello again, folks. I believe we have 10 more minutes left, and I'll do my best not to take all of the 10 minutes. Hey, I think Chair Welch, you put in the chat in the beginning of the meeting information about the primary urban core development plan. I just want to reiterate how important it is for this neighborhood board and the entire primary urban core to comment on the plan, because it guides development going forward. And a really easy thing to do is look at the maps. It's color coded, and you can determine, and then each color is defined. So when I early on spoke to DPP about Michelle Matson and other folks' idea of putting Diamond Head and Kapuhulu and Kaimuki and Kahala in the East Honolulu Sustainable Communities Plan, because we wanted to keep Kaimuki and keep Kapuhulu and Kahala and restrict development. They actually took us seriously and they changed it. But that doesn't mean it can't be further changed. And that's where you folks come in, and please submit your comments to the Planning Commission. And I do have to also give credit to this board and members of this board, because they also had an impact in changing what the plan looks like. And I give you folks a lot of credit for that, but don't take that for granted and keep doing that. Because these developments, like the one Pahoa Ridge is talking about, could have been influenced by this plan. And again, it guides development in the primary urban core going forward. And I really want, again, to stress that it's so important. It will then come to the city council, so you have a second opportunity, but don't let this opportunity before the Planning Commission fly by. The other thing is, nobody brought up the Kapuhulu Avenue Industrial Stockyard right outside there. So we did follow up with DPP. I guess it's Hawaiian Dredging, and DPP has been calling them at least 10 times. They're in violation and they need to move out. And they're just ignoring the city at this point. So they're going to issue notice of violations and then notice of orders and start fining them for doing that. There's a lot of other things I wanted to talk about, and I'll have Amanda Zapita email you all other things dealing with Diamond Head cleanup, Waikiki street festivals and parades, Pocky Park and sidewalk with homeless problem, Diamond Head Road homeless, and things of that nature that I don't believe we have time for. I do want to point out that the project that was mentioned earlier tonight is a 201H project. We didn't talk about that at all. 201H is a state law that basically says you can put aside all statutes, ordinances, and a lot of things if you're building affordable, right? It will come to the city council at some point. And basically, we have a timeline. I think it's 60 days that we have to act. I know Michelle Matson makes a big deal about we rush things through, but the state law requires us to act within 60 days. If we don't do anything on these projects, it's deemed approved, right? So I'm going to be asking the same questions about how do these folks who live there, how are they going to get on the freeway? How? What freeway entrance are they going to use? They either got to go up to King Street, take a right, then take another right on University Avenue and get on, or you got to do exactly how the residents of the area said. You got to go up around the bakery, come down to where ADLRO used to be, come back up, and then get on the freeway, which you couple that with all the traffic that's already there. I mean, I'm hoping they give you folks the traffic study first, that you can comment on it before it comes to the city council. And I'm going to tell them that when I meet with them. But I will also point out, folks, the governor issued an emergency proclamation on housing. Emergency proclamations are normally done for hurricanes and tidal waves and wildfires. The fact that he did it tells us, and we all know this, we are in a deep, deep housing crisis. Where are our young people gonna live? I'm deathly afraid that my 2 kids aren't gonna be able to afford to live in Hawaii, right? The urban core is where we're planning future development, and that project that they're talking about is in the urban core, right? But one of the things that's actually good about this project, they're building between 30 and 60% AMI. That's people making $30,000 a year. There's only a handful of developers in this state that are willing to build at 30% AMI. One of the things that they talked about that we really need to make drastic changes in our transportation roads and whatnot, which is true. But typically what we'll do is put impact fees on the developers, right? But if we put impact fees on this project and the people who are building at 30% AMI, they're just not going to build it. It literally doesn't pencil out. And by the way, developers tell us that a lot. It doesn't pencil out. And we kind of hold their feet to the fire. We ask them lots of questions about why doesn't it pencil? But really, seriously, if we put an impact fee on that project, it will not pencil out. They'll build it for people making $150,000 to $200,000 a year. That pencils out, but it doesn't for people making $30,000 a year. But anyway, I said I wasn't going to take the whole 10 minutes, and I did. So I'm sorry, but I really had to get that off my chest. You got a question?
Well, I have a comment. I'm very concerned about I hear the word crisis, emergency over and over again. And people tend not to make the best decisions under that stress. And I'm concerned that if we don't take a little time and truly think about what we're doing and think about future development, I think if that had been done 20 years ago, we wouldn't be at this state of a crisis. So I think as an entire community, we really need to step back. We're dealing with housing issues. We're dealing with sea level rising issues. We're dealing with climate change. You know, who knows if we're going to get slammed with a hurricane next season.
No, I totally
So,
agree. And I think that's why the
just wanna point
primary
that
urban
out.
core development plan is so important. Because that's why I started with that, by the way. You got a plan. And you really need to comment on this because it will guide future development, including where we develop dealing with sea level rise. There's portions of the plan. And if you don't have a copy of it, you can get it online. I think Winston Welch has already put it online. Please read it. It's thick. It's hundreds of pages long, but it deals with exactly what you're talking about.
I started reading it, and it's a lot to go over in a few days because we only have a few days.
Well, with that, Arlene, I realize we are out of time. We need more time. We need more time with Chair Waters, with Councilmember Say's office. I apologize. We are running out of time.
I apologize.
Have a town hall with just Councilmember Waters and Councilmember Say. Maybe we could arrange that as a special meeting with your office and to bring up all types of issues. But with that, I'm sorry we are out of time. The city's cuts us off. We need more time for these meetings. we will discuss that another night. But for all of you who came tonight online to express your concerns and thoughts, I appreciate it. We will try to be more succinct next time, but we do what we can do. And if we had an extra half an hour, we could probably cover a lot more issues. But for now, I will bid you all a happy evening, happy weekend, and thank you all. Aloha. Meeting is adjourned.